Chapter 1444. She was also very touched and gratified that her younger sister could be treated like this by Zhao Yun. The few of them came to the counter and calculated the bill. These things added up to 8 taels of silver. In the countryside, that was 2 acres of farmland. If it was an ordinary family, how could they bear to part with it? The boss wrapped it up for Zhao Yun with a smile. In his shop, buying 8 taels of silver in one go was still a small amount. He was more polite to Zhao Yun. Miss, take care, the boss said with a smile. Okay. The 3 of them were just about to leave when they saw 2 people walking towards them. These 2 people were not just anyone, but Xiao Hong and Lu Lei. Zhao Yun realized that some things were quite strange. When a person was not mentioned or thought of, there was basically no interaction. Usually, she would not bump into them in the village. Yesterday, Mulan had just mentioned Lu Lei and Xiao Hong, and today, she saw Lu Lei and Xiao Hong. When Xiao Hong saw that she had bumped into Zhao Yun, she was also slightly stunned. Then she said, Sister Yin, is also here to buy jewelry. The smile on Xiao Hong's face was so fake. Zhao Yun could not be bothered with her. However, she had no reason to ignore her when she was talking to her. Moreover, Lu Lei was beside her. If she really ignored her, it would probably be exactly what Xiao Hong wanted. This way, Xiao Hong could complain about her in front of Lu Lei. Yes, Sister Xiao Hong. Are you here to buy jewelry as well? Zhao Yun also pulled out a fake smile. Yes, I'm getting married to Brother Lu in a while, so my mother asked me to come over and buy some dowry. Xiao Hong purposely emphasized her marriage to Lu Lei, as if she was afraid that Zhao Yun did not know. Zhao Yun's lips curled up slightly as she said with a lonely smile. Then I really have to congratulate you. Sister Yun, thank you for your blessings. It's not easy for Brother Lu and I to be together. Xiao Hong's smile seemed to hide a knife. If it wasn't for Zhao Yun, she would have been together with Lu Lei long ago. However, it wasn't too late to be with Lu Lei now. It was better than not being with Lu Lei. It's Big Brother Lu's fortune to be able to marry a woman like little sister Xiao Hong. It's my fortune to be able to marry Big Brother Lu. I'll definitely take good care of Big Brother Lu in the future. Xiao Hong looked at Lu Lei affectionately. However, Lu Lei, who treated her quite well, became a little different the moment he saw Zhao Yun. When Xiao Hong saw Lu Lei looking at Zhao Yun, she felt a little jealous. In the end, Lu Lei still couldn't let go of Zhao Yun. Xiao Hong knew very well that if she hadn't used a special method, Lu Lei probably wouldn't have agreed to marry her. This method was a little extreme, but Lu Lei had no way to avoid responsibility. Because she drugged Lu Lei, she had sex with him. She was a virgin, and now that a man had slept with her, the man had to take responsibility. Lu Lei wasn't the kind of man who would throw her away and take the initiative to marry her. She put in a lot of effort to plan this, and finally managed to keep the man she loved by her side. Xiao Hong believed that as long as Lu Lei married her and spent time with her every day, he would more or less develop feelings for her and forget about Zhao Yun. After all, it was normal for feelings to grow over time. What was done couldn't be undone. Lu Lei no longer had that thought in his heart, and he would also slowly forget about Zhao Yun. Chapter 1445. Xiao Hong wanted to see Zhao Yun be angry or envious, but Zhao Yun was completely unmoved, as if she didn't care at all. She felt a little unhappy. Yes, no matter how lucky I am, I can't compare to Sister Yun. Sister Yun is going to marry the current heir apparent. How noble is her status. Xiao Hong said this on purpose to make Lu Lei misunderstand. The reason why Zhao Yun didn't have much of a reaction was that Zhao Yun already had Mu Lianfeng, so she naturally didn't care much about Lu Lei. Lu Lei's expression darkened when he heard Xiao Hong's words. Zhao Yun was really speechless towards Xiao Hong. She wouldn't fight with her for Lu Lei, so why did Xiao Hong keep harping on her? It was as if she couldn't wait to see her upset. Lu Lei tugged at Xiao Hong, indicating for her to stop talking. Xiao Hong pursed her lips and snorted softly, but she didn't say anything else. Zhao Yun still had a smile on her face as she bid farewell to Xiao Hong and Lu Lei. Little sister Xiao Hong, go and choose your jewelry. I've already chosen, so I won't accompany you. With that, Zhao Yun tugged at Mu Hin and Mulan. Looking at Zhao Yiner's departing figure, Xiao Hong was furious. This B***TCH was doing this on purpose. Luckily she had gotten Lu Lei. After Zhao Yiner Mulan and Mu Hin walked out of the shop, Mulan couldn't help but say, "That Xiao Hong is too inhumane." What did she mean by those words? Zhao Yiner curled her lips and said with a smile, "Who cares what she means? Just ignore her. Look at how proud she is. Yiner, if you were willing to accept Lu Lei, she wouldn't have a chance to jump around. Forget it, sister-in-law Mulan, you don't have to say anything. It's their business what they want to say. We can't control them." Zhao Yiner was open-minded and didn't care. Mulan couldn't stand Xiao Hong's attitude. Seeing that Zhao Yiner didn't care, she naturally couldn't say anything more. On the other hand, Xiao Hong treated someone whom Zhao Yiner didn't care about like a treasure. Xiao Hong felt embarrassed. Yes, it's none of our business. Let her say what she wants. Mulan responded. After finishing their work, they prepared to go to the market to buy some groceries. Just as he arrived at the market and bought a few ingredients, he suddenly saw a bunch of people gathered together in the market. He had no idea what was going on. Zhao Yiner also curiously looked in the direction of the crowd. What happened? It seems like a pregnant woman suddenly had a stomachache. Really? There's no midwife now. Isn't that so? There's no midwife. This is troublesome. She can't be giving birth on the streets, right? Who knows? The situation looks serious. Yeah, the situation looks serious. If we don't deal with it properly, she might not be able to keep her life. It won't be good if 2 lives are lost. There's no choice. It's a sin. Hearing these people's words, Zhao Yiner raised her eyebrows slightly. Something so serious had happened? As a police officer, Zhao Yiner couldn't help but want to meddle in other people's business. After all, it was a matter of life and death. She couldn't just ignore it. Last time, there was also a pregnant woman who had a problem. She reached out to help, and the woman survived. As long as she could help, there was no harm in helping. Just as Zhao Yiner was about to make a move, she suddenly heard a familiar voice. Chapter 1446. Io, my precious daughter. Please don't let anything happen to you. Zhaodi, please don't scare me. Wake up. Zhaodi, woo-woo, Zhaodi, someone come and save our Zhaodi. Zhao Yiner frowned when she heard Liang Jinfan's screams. So the woman with the stomachache was actually his cousin Su Zhaodi. Although she didn't like her second aunt's family, Zhao Yiner couldn't help but move closer to see what was going on. Could it really be as serious as the onlookers said? If that was the case, would her cousin be able to take it? The ancient times weren't like the modern times. If anything happened to her, it wouldn't be good. However, Zhao Yiner had to observe first. If she didn't need to do anything, she wouldn't do anything. After all, she had offended her and said those words to her. She couldn't possibly be too concerned about her. Io, this is bad. Look, that woman's bleeding down there. Yeah, oh my God, is she going to have a miscarriage? I think she's really going to have a miscarriage. She's bleeding, how can she keep the child? What should we do? What a sin. Hearing these people say that Jianhong was going to have a miscarriage, Liang Jinfan was so frightened that he started crying. Io, my Zhaodi, you can't have a miscarriage. You're pregnant with my precious grandson. At the same time, Liang Jinfan thought that if Su Zhaodi was pregnant with a son, her status in the Huang family would be different. No matter what, Su Zhaodi's child couldn't be lost. Everyone help me, help me. My Zhaodi's child has to be saved. Nothing can happen to it. Can anyone help me find a doctor or a midwife? Whoa. Zhao Yiner couldn't help but shake her head when she heard Liang Jinfan's cries. Her second aunt was usually so arrogant, but it turned out that there were times when she was so anxious. However, no one stepped forward to help. Sister-in-law, it's not that we don't want to help you, but we can't. Your daughter is bleeding down there. It's obvious that the child can't be saved. Even if the doctor comes, it's probably useless. That's right. Even if the doctor comes, it won't help. A woman's body cannot be seen by a man, not even by a doctor. Sister-in-law, if you want to take a look, you should ask the midwife. It's impossible to find a midwife in such a short time. It's better to wait slowly. Sigh, there's nothing we can do. Sister-in-law, don't cry. Hurry up and go home to call for help. Get someone to bring your daughter back. It's not good for her to lie on the ground. Liang Jingfen's cries became louder after hearing what everyone said. Where was she going to find a midwife? She couldn't get away now, nor could she call someone over. If this dragged on, she reckoned that her little brother wouldn't be able to hold on. Liang Jingfen was so anxious that he wanted to cry. Recruit brother. Bear with it for a while longer. Mother will help you think of a way. Liang Jingfen said with a sobbing tone. Su Xiaodi, who was on the ground, turned pale. She shouted weakly and fearfully at Liang Jingfen. Mother, what should I do? I'm so scared. She was afraid that she would lose the child. Everyone said that the child in her stomach was a boy. Chapter 1447. Liang Jingfen tugged at Su Xiaodi and said, Don't be afraid. I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you. Liang Jingfen's comforting words had no effect on Su Xiaodi. Mom, I'm in pain. You have to save my child. Su Xiaodi clutched her stomach and looked at the blood flowing out between her legs. She was terrified. Besides the pain, she was even more terrified. This was her first child. She had heard that after a first miscarriage, it was easy for her to have another miscarriage. It might not be so easy for her to have children in the future. If she couldn't have children, how was she going to live in her in-laws' house in the future? When Zhao Yun'er heard these people's discussion, she couldn't help but frown. She had a miscarriage. The situation was really serious. And these people were obviously talking nonsense if they didn't call for a doctor. A miscarriage could easily cost her her life. Of course, these people were here to watch the show. Naturally, they would make sarcastic remarks. After squeezing through the crowd, Zhao Yun'er saw Su Xiaodi on the ground. She couldn't bear to see her and felt sympathy for her. The people around them were just watching the show. Not many people came forward to help. If this continued, who knew what would happen? Zhao Yun'er went forward and asked, Second aunt, how is cousin? Liang Jingfen felt comforted when she saw Zhao Yun'er. She hurriedly said to Zhao Yun'er, Ah, Yun'er, you're here. There's finally someone here. I was so scared. Yun'er, can you help me call someone from Xiaodi's in-laws' house? If she called the Huang family over, they would at least be more tolerant. Zhao Yun'er frowned and didn't agree to Liang Jingfen's request. In this situation, it was obvious that there was no point in calling the Huang family over. So what if the Huang family came? They weren't doctors and didn't know how to deliver a child. Looking at Su Xiaodi's stomach, Zhao Yun'er didn't think that it was a miscarriage. After all, Su Xiaodi's stomach was already 7 to 9 months old. Although it was not the right time to give birth, it was normal to have a child in such an unexpected situation. If this matter was handled properly, not only would the adults be safe, but the children would also be safe. Of course, this had to be dealt with rationally. Lying here and doing nothing was completely useless. Second aunt, it's better to send her to the clinic and find a doctor. Cousin is premature, Zhao Yun'er said. Actually, she didn't want to bother with or help her second aunt. After all, it was a human life. She could even help an outsider. Putting aside her personal grudges, there was no need to be calculative. What? Send him to the clinic? No. Yun'er, the doctor doesn't know how to treat this. My Xiaodi won't be able to treat it. Zhao Yun'er was speechless. If anything happened to Su Xiaodi, it would be Liang Jingfen's fault. It was scary to be uncultured. Zhao Yun'er didn't know what to say to Liang Jingfen. Second aunt, the doctor can't do it and no one can. Can you find a midwife? This? Liang Jingfen choked and didn't know what to say. Don't waste time talking nonsense. When the time comes, it will be too late to regret it. As Zhao Yun'er spoke, she called for Mu Lan and Mu Hin to help Su Xiaodi and send her to the clinic. Liang Jingfen was also confused at this moment. Since Zhao Yun'er said so, she could only do so. It was better than being anxious like a headless fly. Chapter 1448. There were many people in the clinic. Su Xiaodi was a special case, so the doctors treated her seriously and allowed her to skip the queue. Hurry up and go inside. Go inside. What's going on? The doctors frowned when they saw the situation. Liang Jingfen knelt down in front of the doctor and pleaded, Doctor, I beg you to save my daughter. Please don't let anything happen to her. The doctor tugged at Liang Jingfen. Alright, get up. Don't kneel. Kneeling won't help much. I'll go take a look. Don't delay my work. Liang Jinfen could only nod and wait anxiously outside. He kept rubbing his hands, afraid that something would happen to Su Xiaodi. Apart from his genuine concern for his daughter, Liang Jinfen was also worried that if something happened to Su Xiaodi, he would not be able to lead a good life in the future. After all, he could only rely on his daughter now. How could he rely on Su Xiaodi when he was old? She did not have a son. Fortunately, her daughter had married into a wealthy family. If her daughter was gone, who would she rely on in the future? Zhao Yin'er also left the clinic and handed Su Xiaodi over to the doctor. She was not a doctor after all. There was nothing she could do. She had already done her duty by sending Su Xiaodi here. Seeing that Zhao Yin'er and Mulan had left, Liang Jinfen tugged at Zhao Yin'er and nagged. Hey Yin'er, is my Xiaodi okay? Will there be any problems? Zhao Yin'er did not know how to answer Liang Jinfen. She pursed her lips and replied, Second aunt, I don't know if there will be any problems. Just wait. The doctor said that there will be no problems. Liang Jinfen was a little unhappy. He frowned and said, Yin'er, how can you say that? You sent my Xiaodi here, so you have to take responsibility. You don't even know if the doctor is good or not. If you want to make sure that my Xiaodi is fine, then why did you send him here? Hearing Liang Jinfen's words, Zhao Yin'er also got angry. What kind of person was this? She had helped him out of kindness, but he had stuck to her. She reckoned that it was rare to see a scoundrel like Liang Jinfen. Second aunt, you're really interesting. Now you're blaming me? Fine, let's send him back. However, I'll say the ugly words first. If anything happens to my cousin, don't look for me. Don't regret it. Zhao Yin'er said coldly. Liang Jinfen was intimidated by Zhao Yin'er's imposing manner. She knew very well that if she continued to lie on the ground, she would only be waiting for death. Here, at least she had a chance. It was better to wait and see if Su Xiaodi was all right. If something really happened, she could just look for Zhao Yin'er. The two of them waited outside. From time to time, the woman's painful cries could be heard from inside. It was Su Xiaodi's cries. Liang Jinfen anxiously poked his head in, but he was stopped from entering. There was nothing he could do. Liang Jinfen couldn't sit still and walked around the room. As she walked, she clasped her hands together and muttered, God bless us, God bless us. Please don't let anything happen to my Xiaodi. Xiaodi, you have to hold on. Mother can't be without you. Xiaodi, Xiaodi. Sigh, mother is so anxious. Zhao Yin'er was annoyed by Liang Jinfen's nagging. When would this second aunt of hers stop? Chapter 1449. Zhao Yin'er lifted her head and glanced at Liang Jinfen. Although she could understand Liang Jinfen's anxiety, Liang Jinfen didn't have to be like this. Second aunt, the doctors are all here. If something really happened, there's nothing we can do about it. Liang Jinfen's expression changed when he heard Zhao Yin'er's words. He scolded Zhao Yin'er. Yin'er, why are you so heartless? Xiaodi is your cousin. How can you be like this? Zhao Yin'er was also unhappy with Liang Jinfen's words. Second aunt, I'm heartless? If I was heartless, I wouldn't have sent my cousin to the clinic. I wouldn't have bothered with you. I wouldn't have had to go through all this trouble. It's a thankless task. But it's not good if something happened to my Xiaodi. Can't you talk to me and make me feel better? Zhao Yin'er didn't know what to say to Liang Jinfen. Seeing that Zhao Yin'er was ignoring him, Liang Jinfen continued to wander around the room. He kept mumbling to himself, but no one knew what he was saying. Zhao Yin'er also heard the miserable screams in the room. She couldn't help but frown. She was a little worried that something had happened to her cousin. After all, if there was blood, it meant that it was serious. It was uncertain whether the doctors could treat it well. After all, the medical technology in the ancient times was not as good as the modern ones. It was normal for a woman to die during childbirth in the 21st century. Whether or not Su Xiaodi was alright would depend on her own luck. If she made it through, she would be fine. If she didn't, she might even lose her life. Zhao Yin'er didn't know how long it would take for her to recover. She still had to go back. Just as Zhao Yin'er was getting impatient, a baby's voice came from the room. Wow 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 wow. Liang Jinfen immediately became excited. He pulled Zhao Yin'er and said, Yin'er, did you hear the child's voice? Did my family recruit a younger brother? Did I hear wrongly? Are you hallucinating? Zhao Yin'er nodded. Second aunt, you didn't hear wrong. It is indeed the sound of a child crying. It should be cousin Zhaodi who gave birth. Since the child had been born, it meant that she was fine. Sure enough, after a while, the doctor came out with the child in his arms. He handed the child to Liang Jinfen and said, "Don't worry, your daughter is safe, and so is the child. However, your daughter has lost a lot of blood this time, so her body needs to be properly nursed back to health. Otherwise, if the blood in her body can't be replenished in the future, her physique will become very weak. Also, this child's constitution is very poor. After all, he was born prematurely. We have to take care of him properly." Yes, I know. Thank you, doctor. Liang Jinfen looked at the doctor gratefully. Her daughter could be saved, and so could the child. It seemed that the heavens had heard her prayers. You're welcome. This is what a doctor should do. Fortunately, they were sent here in time. If they were a little later, the mother and child's lives would have been lost. The doctor said. Liang Jinfen looked at Zhao Yin'er. He thought about how his recruit was saved, and it was all thanks to Zhao Yin'er. Otherwise, something would have happened. Chapter 1450. The baby was crying so loudly that Liang Jinfen took notice of the child in her arms. She looked down at the newborn baby. It was a little wrinkled, but she could still tell that the baby had taken after its father. It was a little ugly. Liang Jinfen glanced at him and sighed slightly. It was a pity that this child didn't inherit her family's younger brother's mold when he grew up like this. Suddenly, Liang Jinfen seemed to have thought of something important. She held the doctor's hand and asked with concern, "Doctor, did my brother give birth to a boy or a girl?" The doctor replied faintly, "Isn't the child in your hands? Why don't you take a look for yourself?" Yes. I'll take a look for myself. Look at my brain, it's really not enough. I get confused when I'm anxious. Liang Jinfen muttered as she tugged at the clothes wrapped around the baby. Liang Jinfen was stunned when she saw that the person wrapped in the clothes was a boy who had the characteristics of a girl. How could it be a girl? When Zhaodi was pregnant, her belly was so big and obviously had the characteristics of a boy. How could it be a girl? She was so anxious to keep the baby, because she felt that Su Zhaodi was most likely pregnant with a boy. If she could really give birth to a boy, he would be the Huang family's only golden grandson. Her status in the Huang family would also be elevated. Now she had given birth to a girl. She didn't know how the Huang family would react when they found out. The more she thought about it, the more anxious Liang Jinfen became. Her brows were tightly knitted together, and she was extremely worried. She looked at the baby in her arms, and didn't want to hug it anymore. She had given birth to a good-for-nothing. She might as well not have given birth at all. Wah. The baby continued to cry. Liang Jinfen was so angry that she scolded the baby. Cry. What are you crying for? You good-for-nothing. Why is Zhaodi so unlucky? Not only is she not a boy, she almost lost her life when she gave birth to you. In Liang Jinfen's eyes, this newborn baby was a jinx. Because of Liang Jinfen's roar, the child was frightened. The baby's cries became even louder, making people's hearts ache. Of course, in the eyes of outsiders, this would make their hearts ache. Liang Jinfen didn't think so. After hearing the cries, Liang Jinfen felt annoyed and slapped the baby a few times. Cry, you little jinx, you still have the face to cry? If you cry again, I'll ask your mother to throw you away. Let's see if you still dare. Wah. Liang Jinfen's warning had no effect on the child. The more Liang Jinfen watched, the angrier she got. Just as she was about to explode, Zhao Yin'er could not stand it anymore. She said to Liang Jinfen, "Second aunt, it's just a child. You don't have to be like this, right? How can a child withstand the torture? If you continue to hit her like this, the child will probably be beaten to death." Zhao Yin'er spoke up for Liang Jinfen. She couldn't stand Liang Jinfen's attitude at all. She naturally knew why Liang Jinfen was like this. It was because this child was a girl. In Liang Jinfen's opinion, if a girl was born unloved by her in-laws, her previous plan would fall through. Chapter 1451. However, Liang Jinfen felt that Zhao Yin'er should not interfere in this matter. This is my granddaughter. My younger brother gave birth to her. What does it have to do with you? You can hit and scold me if you want. Who can control me? Humph. The corners of Zhao Yiner's mouth twitched. Her heart ached for the child in Liang Jinfen's womb for a second. It was too pitiful for the child to be born into such a family. Of course, this was just the beginning. She did not know how the child would be treated in the future. After all, this was a life that she had saved. Zhao Yiner still hoped that this child would be safe, and that she would not have to experience any setbacks. Of course, it would be difficult for this child to be happy. Haha, second aunt, it's fine if you want to scold and hit her. However, I have to remind you that a newborn child will not be able to withstand the torment. If you accidentally kill her, you will have killed a human life. Murder is a serious crime. Even if you kill a child, the authorities will pursue the matter. Liang Jinfen's expression darkened. She looked up at Zhao Yiner. She was frightened by Zhao Yiner's words. However, she continued to be stubborn. Yiner, who are you trying to scare? Humph. Don't think that you can scare me. It's just a child's death these days. Why would the authorities care about such matters? Zhao Yiner chuckled. If you don't want to care, then so be it. However, second aunt, you can't go overboard. Heaven is watching what you do. After all, this is a fresh life. Moreover, she is my biological daughter. She is your biological granddaughter. Liang Jinfen looked at the child in her arms again. After thinking about it, her heart softened. Zhao Yiner was right. This was her biological granddaughter. She could not kill this child. When Mulan saw the child crying pitifully, she couldn't help but go forward and say to Liang Jinfen, I think this child is crying because she's hungry. You have to feed her some milk. Scolding her like this is useless. What can a newborn baby know? After all, she had children too. Moreover, she had a daughter for her first 2 children. It was true that the elders did not like their daughters, but a piece of flesh that fell from their own body would be treasured no matter what. Looking at the baby, Mulan's maternal instincts overflowed. Naturally, she felt even more pity for the child in Liang Jinfen's arms. Hungry? Liang Jinfen glanced at the baby and frowned. After thinking about it, she decided to follow Mulan's instructions and feed the baby some milk. The baby was born prematurely, and Su Zhaodi was bleeding profusely. She didn't know if there was any milk left. Without milk, even if she wanted to breastfeed the child, it would probably be impossible. Liang Jinfen carried the baby into the house. Su Zhaodi was lying on the wooden bed. Her body was extremely weak. Because she had lost a lot of blood, Su Zhaodi's face was unusually pale. Her lips were completely pale. When Liang Jinfen saw this, she panicked. She quickly ran to Su Zhaodi and said to her, Ayo Zhaodi, you've suffered a lot. Please don't let anything happen to you. Mother's heart aches to see you like this. Su Zhaodi lifted her head to look at Liang Jinfen. She was so weak that she could not muster any strength. She held her breath and said to Liang Jinfen, Mother, did I give birth to a boy or a girl? When she said this, Liang Jinfen fell silent. When she saw that Liang Jinfen's expression was not right, Su Zhaodi's heart sank. Then she started to cry. Chapter 1452. Su Zhaodi wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and cried, Mother, what should I do? If I give birth to a girl, I won't be able to raise my status in my in-laws' family. They might even look down on me. The more Su Zhaodi thought about it, the sadder she felt. Her tears were like a waterfall that could not be stopped. Liang Jinfen saw that Su Zhaodi was crying and hurriedly comforted her. All right, Zhaodi, don't cry. You're still young. You can get pregnant again in the future. If you work hard, you'll definitely have a boy. Although Su Zhaodi knew that she could have another child in the future, she was not sure if she would be able to give birth to a boy. If she gave birth to a girl in the future, she would not be able to raise her head in her in-laws' family. This time, everyone had said that she was pregnant with a boy. She did not expect that she would give birth to a girl. Mother, I'm afraid sob. If my in-laws knew that I gave birth to a girl, I don't know what they would say. My husband used to nag me every day that I must give birth to a boy, so that I can fight for more in the future, when we divide the family property. If I don't give birth to a boy, my husband probably won't like me anymore. Zhaodi, there's nothing you can do. Men are all like that. If you work hard in the next child, and give birth to a fat boy. Wouldn't that be fine? Liang Jinfen nagged. Sob, sob, sob. Mother, you don't understand. It's not that good. Su Xiaodi continued to cry. Looking at Su Xiaodi lying on the bed, Zhao Yin'er suddenly felt that this woman was a little pitiful. What was going on? Didn't she just give birth to a girl? Did she have to cry so sadly as if her mother had died? She was degrading herself, and still expected men to respect her. After Su Xiaodi cried for a while, Liang Jinfen said, Xiaodi, this child must be hungry. Hurry and feed her milk. Su Xiaodi looked at the girl in Liang Jinfen's arms, and a trace of disdain appeared in her eyes. It was fine that it was a girl, but she was so ugly that it hurt her eyes. Thus she said to Liang Jinfen, Mother, hurry and take her away. I don't want to see her. Su Xiaodi blamed the suffering she was about to endure on this little girl. Brother Zhao, this won't do. She keeps crying and making a fuss. It's so annoying if you don't give her milk. Su Xiaodi glanced at the baby again. Although she despised her, Liang Jinfen's words were not without reason. She couldn't just let her continue being noisy and annoying. Yes, mother, bring it over. Okay, Liang Jinfen said, and put the baby next to Su Xiaodi. Su Xiaodi fed Liang Jinfen for a while and said helplessly, Mother, there's no milk. Liang Jinfen frowned. What? Without milk? How is the child going to survive? I don't know. Su Xiaodi shook her head. If there's no milk, then we can only look for milk. I can buy a goat and feed it some milk. Then it will be able to survive. Su Xiaodi said with a bitter face. Mother, a sheep is so expensive. How can we afford it? It's okay if it's a boy, but my in-laws definitely won't spend the money on a girl. Then what can we do? Liang Jinfen frowned. If this didn't work, that didn't work, then wouldn't the child have to wait to starve to death? Chapter 1453. That's right, we spent a lot of effort in herbs this time. Pay the medical fees as well. When Liang Jinfen heard that they still had to pay the medical fees, she couldn't remain calm and complained to the doctor. What? We still have to pay the medical fees? The doctor frowned unhappily and replied, Of course we have to pay the medical fees. Otherwise, do you think we save people for nothing? Do you think we use medicine for nothing? Our clinic doesn't do charity. There are so many sick people outside. If we don't pay the medical fees, our clinic will close down in a few days. Liang Jinfen pursed her lips. She naturally understood this logic, but she was still unwilling to give up. She said to the doctor, I understand, doctor. We'll pay the money. But how much money do we have to pay? Liang Jinfen was worried that the people in the clinic would be greedy and ask for a lot. A total of 5 taels of silver. Whether a life is worth 5 taels of silver or not, you have to weigh it in your heart. 5 taels of silver was not a small sum. Ordinary people might not even earn 5 taels of silver in a year. Even the Huang family's conditions for doing business were not bad. The shop's income was estimated to be 5 taels of silver in a month. Although there was no need for Liang Jinfen to pay the money, the Huang family could pay for it. But the problem was that Su Xiaodi had given birth to a girl. The Huang family would definitely be unhappy. If they were to pay so much money, they would definitely have a problem with Su Xiaodi. When the time came, who knew what to say about Su Xiaodi? Liang Jinfen began to worry. Her daughter's life in the Huang family was not good. Then she would not have a good life either. After all, she still had to rely on her daughter to support her in the future. Su Xiaodi's future was her future. Su Xiaodi's face turned even paler. She said to Liang Jinfen, Mother, what should we do? 5 taels of silver is too much. My in-laws will definitely scold me. How can they bear to take out this money? Liang Jinfen was silent for a moment. She frowned. Yes, your in-laws will definitely not bear to take out this money. Mother, please help me think of a way. Su Xiaodi looked pleadingly at Liang Jinfen. Her eyes were filled with fear and worry. Seeing her daughter like this, Liang Jinfen felt helpless. If she had so much money in her pocket, she could pay for the medical expenses. However, she didn't have that much money in her hands. Liang Jinfen sighed and said, Mother will go and discuss with the doctor to see if we can reduce the price. When the doctor heard Liang Jinfen's words, he directly refused. Don't discuss it. What's there to discuss? 5 taels of silver is already too expensive. Your daughter and nephew's life are worth more than 5 taels of silver, right? But she was not willing to give up. She continued to plead. Doctor, please do us a favor and give us a discount. We are all poor people. How can we afford so much money? This sister-in-law, I have run this medical center for so many years. This is the first time I have seen someone haggle. Every day, so many people come. If everyone gets a discount, how can we continue to run this medical center? All right, I won't talk to you anymore. If you don't pay up, you can wait to see the officials. Su Xiaodi quickly pulled Liang Jinfen and said, Mother, let's forget it. Chapter 1454. Su Xiaodi shook her head. Mother, I don't know either. We can only wait for my in-laws to come. At most, they'll scold us a few times. It's impossible that they won't pay for it. Liang Jinfen sighed. If it weren't for the fact that we're afraid of your in-laws giving us a hard time, we wouldn't have to worry about this. It's a girl after all. If it were a boy, we wouldn't have to worry about it now. Su Xiaodi's brows were tinged with sadness because of Liang Jinfen's words. Mother, hurry and carry him further away. He's making so much noise beside me. Su Xiaodi said to Liang Jinfen. Liang Jinfen glanced at the toddler and nodded. All right, I'll carry him further away. I'm also annoyed by his noise. Su Xiaodi nodded. Liang Jinfen carried the toddler to the outer room and casually placed him on a stool. He didn't care about him anymore. After Zhao Yin'er saw it, she was speechless to the mother and daughter. They really pushed all the blame onto a toddler. Looking at the toddler who was placed on the stool and ignored, Zhao Yin'er's heart ached. If the toddler continued to be tormented like this, Zhao Yin'er was really worried that he would lose his life. After all, the toddler had just been born and was very weak. He couldn't withstand the torment. Su Xiaodi didn't have any milk, and obviously didn't want to give the toddler any milk. If the toddler starved for a day, he might even lose his life. Mulan was also very angry when she saw Liang Jinfen and his daughter's behavior. How cruel must they be to treat a child like this? After all, the child was a piece of flesh that fell from her body. As a mother, shouldn't she be protecting her child? How could she let Liang Jinfen carry him out? Mulan whispered in Zhao Yin'er's ear. Yin'er, your second aunt and cousin are really something. It's a sin to give birth to a child with them. Zhao Yin'er nodded. Yes, it's a pity that we can't interfere in other people's affairs. A newborn child is left out in the cold. I guess only they would do something like that. Zhao Yin'er sighed slightly. It can't be helped. It's the child who suffers when the adults are like this. After all, I'm the one who saved this child. I don't expect anything else. I just hope that he can grow up safely. Mulan also sighed. At this moment the toddler's mother Mulan could not help but say, Hey, I'll go carry her. She needs to be coaxed. If she continues crying like this, her throat will be damaged. Mulan's heart softened. She walked over to the toddler and held him in her arms. Zhao Yin'er followed her. After Mulan held the toddler in her arms, she gently patted the toddler and gently coaxed him. After a while, the toddler stopped crying and quieted down. Mulan saw this, and a gratified smile appeared on her face. Yin'er, look. The child finally stopped crying. He must be tired from crying. He's asleep now. Zhao Yin'er looked over. The toddler was sleeping peacefully. Although the child was a little ugly, newborn children were the purest things in the world. They had not been tainted by the complexity of human nature. Zhao Yin'er liked children. She felt a lot closer to the toddler. She said, This child is actually quite cute. Chapter 1455. Usually, it was hard to coax a noisy child once they started crying. However, this child didn't even need to be coaxed for long before she stopped crying. Right, so obedient. Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but stroke the child's little face. Mulan continued to sigh and said, What a good child. It's a pity that the adults don't know how to cherish her. Even if a daughter can't compare to a son, she was still the one who gave birth to the child. It doesn't matter whether the child is a boy or a girl. Sometimes a daughter knows how to dote on others better. Zhao Yin'er, who had lived in the 21st century, didn't have the mindset of valuing boys over girls. However, the reason why Su Xiaodi and Liang Jinfen could be so heartless was not only because they valued boys over girls, but also because they had too much hope in the beginning. Now they were so disappointed. If she gave birth to a son, Su Xiaodi's status in her husband's family would be extraordinary. Now that she gave birth to a daughter and had to spend 5 taels on medical fees, her future life would probably be more difficult than his 2 sisters-in-law. Mulan's sister-in-law, you're more open-minded. It's a blessing to be your daughter. Mulan smiled at Zhao Yin'er's words and said, I'm just speaking the truth. My family's flowers are really good. Haha. When I mentioned a daughter, Zhao Yin'er was also contemplating whether or not she should give birth to a daughter in the future. It was said that daughters were considerate and were their parents' little cotton-padded jackets. When she was old, her daughter would be able to dote on her and take care of her. However, giving birth wasn't something she could do alone. She had to do it with Mu Lianfeng. When she thought of this, Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but blush. In the end, she hadn't experienced the matters between a man and a woman. Zhao Yin'er looked at the sleeping child and felt that this child was very pitiful. She was born prematurely and didn't have any water. The adults at home didn't care about her, so the child couldn't go on like this. She couldn't possibly watch her own child being tortured to death. Just as Zhao Yin'er was frowning and thinking about what to do, a few people walked in from outside. It was Su Xiaodi's in-laws. It wasn't Zhao Yin'er or Liang Jinfen who informed them. It was a passerby who happened to know the Huang family and brought the news to the Huang family. When the Huang family heard the news, they immediately rushed over without stopping to rest. Su Xiaodi's man, Huang Yugui, rushed in and asked, Is my wife okay? Did you save my son? The doctor pointed to the inner room and said, The patient is lying down inside. Both the mother and the child are fine. It's just a medical fee of 5 taels. Since your family is here, you can pay for it. Just now, the doctor had asked Liang Jinfen for it, but Liang Jinfen said that he would wait for his in-laws to come and give it to him. Now Su Xiaodi's in-laws finally arrived. Huang Yugui said, Doctor, wait a moment. I'll go and see my wife and son first. Seeing that there was no hurry, the doctor nodded and said, All right, you can go and take a look first. Huang Yugui rushed into the inner room. When he was in the room, he asked Su Xiaodi, Xiaodi, how are you feeling? Can you hold on? Su Xiaodi shook her head. Husband, I'm fine. That's good, that's good. Huang Yugui muttered, looking very relieved. Su Xiaodi met Huang Yugui's concerned eyes and felt a little guilty. Husband. What's wrong, wife? Chapter 1456. Huang Yugui asked Su Xiaodi anxiously, Wife, what's wrong? Tell me, are you still feeling unwell? Look at you, you're so weak. When we go back, I'll ask my mother to cook more delicious food for you to nourish your body. You were born prematurely, so your body needs to rest well. With that, Huang Yugui thoughtfully tugged at Su Xiaodi's hand and said, Wife, it's been hard on you today. It wasn't easy for you to give birth to our son. By the way, where's our son? Su Xiaodi followed and asked anxiously, That's right, third brother's wife. Where's our precious grandson? Where is he? Su Xiaodi's expression changed instantly, her eyes filled with worry and fear. Mulan carried the baby over and handed it to the Huang couple, saying, The child is here for you. The Huang couple happily took it and looked at the baby in their arms. They smiled and said, He's indeed our Huang family's child. Look at him, he looks so much like Yugui. That's right, he looks like Yugui. He looks like our Huang family's blessed. Oh my, our Huang family's precious grandson. Hearing the Huang couple's words, Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but twitch her mouth. She said to the Huang couple, This child isn't your grandson, he's your granddaughter. After Zhao Yin'er said this, the Huang couple was stunned. They glanced at the child in their arms and said to Zhao Yin, What did you say? What grandson and granddaughter? Isn't this our Huang family's grandson? How did he become our granddaughter? Zhao Yin'er rolled her eyes at the Huang couple. Am I not clear enough? This child is a girl, not a boy. Shouldn't she be your Huang family's granddaughter? What, this child is a girl? How can this be a girl? You'll know when you see it for yourself. After Zhao Yin'er said this, the Huang couple hurriedly looked at the child's features. When they saw that it was female features, they panicked. This, how can this be a girl? Oh my! What should he do? Another loser? Su Zhaoti's mother-in-law cried. On the other hand, Su Zhaoti's father-in-law's face darkened and was filled with displeasure. Didn't you say that third daughter-in-law's child was a boy? Why is it a girl now? How would I know? I also want to know how my grandson became my granddaughter. Our Huang family still doesn't have a male child. Originally, we were hoping that our third daughter-in-law could give birth to one. Now great. She didn't give birth again. Will our Huang family have no descendants in the future? Old man, how would I know? Our Huang family has accumulated so much good fortune. Is the heavens blind? Why don't they let our Huang family have a descendant? At the end of the day, it's all because third brother's wife's stomach is disappointing. She can't give birth to a child for our Huang family. There are already a few losers at home. If there's another one, how are we going to feed so many of them? Might as well give it to someone else. What's the point of having so many? When she heard the Huang couple's words, Zhao Yin'er felt even more surprised. She had finally seen the seriousness of this era's preference for boys over girls. It was probably because the Huang family was too eager to have a grandson that they had such a reaction. Chapter 1457. It was hard to say whether the child would be a boy or a girl. If the child could be decided by oneself, there would be more men than women in ancient times. At that time, how could a man get a wife? Seeing that Su Zhaoti gave birth to a girl, Su Zhaoti's two brothers and sisters-in-law breathed a sigh of relief. After all, if Su Zhaoti gave birth to a boy, they would be at a disadvantage. They could still work hard, and maybe they could give birth to the Huang family's first grandson. When Huang Yugui heard the news, his face suddenly changed. She's pregnant with a girl? That's right. Yugui, it's your wife's fault. Su Zhaoti's mother-in-law rolled her eyes at Su Zhaoti and nagged at Huang Yugui. As she spoke, she stuffed the girl in her arms into Su Zhaoti's arms with disgust. It's just a girl. We don't need to mobilize so many people to come here. Let's go back. As she spoke, she pulled the Huang family and prepared to leave. Seeing this, the doctor immediately became anxious and blocked the Huang family's way. You can leave, but you have to pay the money first. 5 taels of silver. You can't leave me out. The Huang couple snorted and said, Didn't we just save a good for nothing? Then we'll give her to you. 5 taels of silver? No way. It was the doctor's first time encountering such a situation. He felt strange and speechless. How can you be like this? My lord, the child has been saved. How can you not pay now? If you don't pay, I'll go to the yamen and sue you. The Huang couple were also unreasonable people. They argued with the doctor. If you want to sue us, then sue us. We're not afraid of you. You didn't save us, and we didn't send her here for you to save. The doctor really had no way to deal with unreasonable people. You're too much. What's wrong with us? We won't pay. Anyway, if you want to sue us, go ahead. Don't stop us. With that, the Huangs pushed the doctor, and the few of them left the clinic. Zhao Yin'er and Mulan looked at each other. The Huang family's attitude really opened their eyes. Now that the Huang family didn't pay the medical fees, how should they settle the medical fees? Su Zhaoti guiltily pulled Huang Yugui's hand. Husband, you can't just leave me alone? Can you persuade father and mother to help me pay the medical fees? Huang Yugui changed his concern for Su Zhaoti and said to Su Zhaoti, You still have the face to say this to me? You failed to live up to expectations and gave birth to a money-losing baby. You even asked for 5 taels of silver for the medical expenses. I've lost all my face because of you. How can I beg my parents to pay for it? Husband. Su Zhaoti didn't expect Huang Yugui to say such words to her. She looked at Huang Yugui with tears in her eyes. Didn't you see the reactions of eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, second brother and second sister-in-law just now? In the face of Huang Yugui's reprimand, Su Zhaoti was at a loss for words. When Liang Jinfen saw her daughter being wronged, she could not help but say to Huang Yugui, Yugui, you can't do this. After all, Zhaoti is your wife. You can't just ignore her. Chapter 1458. This. Liang Jinfen was speechless for a moment. Women were so pitiful. They couldn't give birth to a son, and could only suffer in their in-laws' family. Huang Yogui's words weren't unreasonable. The purpose of marrying a wife was to continue the family line. If they couldn't give birth to a son, then they were in the wrong. Just like himself, he couldn't give birth to a son after marrying into his in-laws' family. He also suffered from the disdain of his in-laws. Fortunately, they hadn't separated yet. When they did, they wouldn't have a son. Their family wouldn't be able to get much, and would have to give everything to the other families who had sons. Liang Jinfen thought for a moment and gently persuaded Huang Yugui. Yugui, Zhaodi did a good job, but the medical fees still have to be paid. Persuade your mother to pay the 5 taels first. You're still young, and will definitely be able to get pregnant again, and give birth to a son. However, Huang Yugui was not so easily fooled. It's hard to say whether or not she can give birth to a boy. Anyway, our Huang family will definitely not take out these 5 silver taels. With these 5 silver taels we can find a new wife. After Huang Yugui finished speaking, he didn't care about his newborn son, and Su Zhaodi and turned to leave. Looking in the direction Huang Yugui left, Liang Jinfen and her daughter were stunned and couldn't react for a moment. Huang Yogui's meaning was very clear. He wouldn't pay the 5 taels for the medical fees. In ancient times, 5 taels could indeed be used to marry a new wife. Some didn't even need to spend 5 taels. Because he was prejudiced against Su Zhaodi giving birth to a daughter, he felt that Su Zhaodi might give birth to a daughter in the future. In that case, he might as well marry a new wife. Who knows, he might be able to find a wife who could give birth to a son. After Huang Yugui left for a while, Su Zhaodi's heart sank to the bottom. Su Zhaodi began to cry and said to Liang Jinfen, "Mother, what should we do? What should we do with the 5 taels for the medical fees? My husband doesn't even care about me anymore." Liang Jinfen was very anxious. "This is great. Zhaodi, where are we going to get the 5 taels? Oh my God. Inhumane. Are your in-laws still human?" Liang Jinfen cried as he slapped his thigh. Even if her daughter gave birth to a baby girl, her in-laws didn't have to be like this, right? "Mother." Whoa. Su Zhaodi cried even harder. Her husband and in-laws had left, and she didn't know if she could return to her in-laws' house. Even if she returned to her in-laws' family, her in-laws' family would probably be the same as they were now. With this attitude, her life would be very torturous. Liang Jinfen yelled loudly. The sleeping child was woken up, and the baby started crying again. Wah wah wah. Liang Jinfen became even more annoyed when he heard the baby's cries. Cry, 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 you only know how to cry. If it wasn't for you, would your mother have ended up like this? Liang Jinfen reprimanded. Mother, my in-laws probably don't like this child. They won't spend money to buy her a goat and feed her with goat's milk. I don't have any milk, so I definitely won't be able to keep her alive. Just throw her away. Save me the trouble of seeing her. Su Zhaodi hardened her heart and said directly to Liang Jinfen. Liang Jinfen hesitated. Zhaodi, are you really going to throw the child away? Your in-laws didn't say anything about throwing her away. After all, she's a child of the Huang family. Chapter 1459. Liang Jinfen felt that Su Zhaodi's words made sense. That's true. If this child doesn't have any milk to drink, and your in-laws and we don't have the money to buy a lamb, why don't we just give her away or throw her away? Otherwise, this child will be a burden to you in the future. Su Zhaodi nodded, her eyes turning cold. She didn't like this child at all. In fact, she hated it. If it weren't for her, would she be in this situation now? Since the Huang family and her husband didn't care, why should she care about this child? It was better to throw her away as far away as possible. Out of sight, out of mind. Zhao Yin'er was taken aback when she heard the mother and daughter's conversation. How cruel could they be to do this? Wasn't this girl a child? Wasn't she the one who had painstakingly given birth to her? Throwing a child like this away was equivalent to killing her. This kind of person was too scary. As Liang Jinfen spoke, he picked up the child and carried her out. He was about to throw her away when he muttered, "It's a girl, not a boy. Who can give her away? No family wants to raise a money-losing child. It's better to just throw her away." Su Zhaodi didn't have any objections. She didn't want to care about this child anyway. Zhao Yin'er immediately stood in front of Liang Jinfen and said to Liang Jinfen, "Second aunt, that's not right. After all, she's your biological granddaughter. How can you just throw her away like that?" Liang Jinfen looked at Zhao Yin'er with displeasure and said to Zhao Yin'er, "So what? Little Yin'er, there are plenty of girls in the countryside who are thrown away after giving birth. Even the government doesn't care. Don't tell me you want to care?" Zhao Yin'er's expression turned cold. Liang Jinfen was right. She didn't have the right to care. But was she just going to watch this child die? She didn't want that. How could such an obedient child do such a cruel thing to a fresh little life? Mulan couldn't help but complain. "Although we can't care, you're too cruel. Such a young child is so pitiful. If the child is like this, she'll be tortured to death. I don't know what you're thinking, but I feel that this child is so pitiful. Daughters are human beings too. You'll suffer retribution if you're too cruel." How could Liang Jinfen listen to Mulan? What retribution? This child was a Jinx's mother? Not only that, she had caused her daughter to almost lose her life, and Suze's husband's to despise her. This child's child should be thrown far, far away. Should be a good lux, the good lux is her. Get out of the way. Don't meddle in things that you shouldn't meddle in. Liang Jinfen snorted and pushed Mulan and Zhao Yin'er aside. Seeing that Liang Jinfen was determined to throw the child away, Zhao Yin'er grabbed Liang Jinfen. Liang Jinfen looked at Zhao Yin'er with displeasure and said to Zhao Yin'er, "Lass, what are you trying to do? It's my family's problem to lose my child. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you meddling in this?" Zhao Yin'er's eyes turned cold. She said to Liang Jinfen, "Second aunt, since you're going to throw the child away, why don't you give her to me? You want this child? Yes, I can't just watch her die outside. But let me say this first. This child has nothing to do with you in the future. Don't wait for me to raise her. You can come and claim her." Chapter 1460. It was a good thing that Zhao Yin'er was willing to keep this money-losing child. How could she possibly ask for it back? Liang Jinfen said, "Don't worry, Yin. If you're willing to keep it, we'll give it back to you. We won't ask for it back." Zhao Yin'er smirked. "Second aunt, your words don't count. Why don't you and cousin Zhaodi write a written agreement for me? That way, we'll have proof when we return." Liang Jinfen's mouth twitched. He said to Zhao Yin'er, "Don't worry, Yin'er. If you take good care of this money-losing child, we'll write a written agreement." Su Zhaodi didn't have any objections. After all, it was her child. If Zhao Yin'er took care of it, it would at least have a way to survive. It was better than throwing it away and letting it die. Okay. Seeing that the two of them were very cooperative, Zhao Yin'er took out a pen and paper and wrote down the contents of the agreement. The general agreement was that Zhao Yin'er would take care of the child, and that it would have nothing to do with anyone else in the future. After Su Zhaodi and Liang Jinfen pressed their fingerprints, Zhao Yin'er tucked herself into her sleeve. Mulan helped Zhao Yin'er carry the child. "Yin'er, are you really going to take care of this child?" Mulan asked. Zhao Yin'er nodded. "Yes. We can't really let this child be thrown away and starve to death, right? It's a life after all. Even if they picked up a kitten or a puppy on the streets, they couldn't bear to see it die." Mulan felt that Zhao Yin'er made a lot of sense. She said, "Yes. We watched her give birth to the child with our own eyes. It's fine if we didn't know, but now that we know, we can't bear to see her die. Yes, we can't help it. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame this child's bad luck. Encountering such a family was simply a sin." The crying child was in Mulan's arms. Mulan gently coaxed him a few times, and then he stopped crying. She slept quietly in Mulan's arms. Perhaps it was because he was too hungry. He stuck his fingers into his mouth and sucked non-stop, making smacking sounds. Mulan looked at the baby's appearance, and her heart ached a little. Hey, look at how obedient this child is. He's probably starving now. Yin'er, let's go to the market to buy a goat, and feed this child some goat milk. Yes, yes. Zhao Yin'er happened to have the same plan. A sheep was estimated to cost 2 taels of silver. It was not cheap. Fortunately, she still had a lot of money in her hands, which was enough to buy these things. Zhao Yuner was preparing to leave with Mulan when the doctor came over and started to urge them for money again. I say, who's going to pay? Previously, you told me that your in-laws were going to pay, but they refused. Now someone has to pay, right? Hurry up and take out the 5 taels of silver. Otherwise, I'll report it to the officials and have you and your mother arrested. When Liang Jinfen heard this, his expression changed slightly. He looked at the doctor with a bitter face and said, "Doctor, we really don't have money." "You see," the doctor said coldly. "What do I see? Do you still want to bargain with me, or refuse to give it to me? Let me tell you, don't go too far. It's not that good to dine and dash. When you're arrested and sent to the officials, don't regret it and refuse to pay." Liang Jinfen was so frightened that his expression changed slightly. While he was worried and afraid, he really couldn't take out the 5 taels of silver. Chapter 1461. Zhao Yuner's brows knitted together. She felt that it was very strange. Why was this matter pushed to her again? Her second aunt was really something. Everyone said that a mad dog would bite randomly when cornered. Her second aunt was exactly like that. The doctor looked at Zhao Yuner and hesitated for a moment. He did not ask Zhao Yuner for money. Zhao Yuner stared at Liang Jinfen and asked, "Second aunt, why don't you tell me why I have to pay for these 5 taels of silver?" Liang Jinfen pursed his lips and said, "Of course you have to pay for it. Yuner, you're the one who sent my Zhaodi here. If you didn't, my Zhaodi wouldn't have spent these 5 taels of silver. So you have to pay for these 5 taels of silver." After Liang Jinfen finished speaking, he added to the doctor, "Doctor, I didn't send him here. You can ask whoever sent him for the medical fees. Anyway, I don't have any money to give you." The doctor was in a difficult position. He knew very well that Liang Jinfen was being shameless and unreasonable. Who would ask the person who sent him to pay for treatment to pay for it? If this went on, who would dare to do a good deed in the future? At the same time, the doctor knew that if Liang Jinfen refused to pay, it would be troublesome for him to report it to the authorities. Most importantly, after the authorities arrested him, he might not return the 5 taels of silver for the medical fees. In any case, the ones who would suffer in the end would be their clinic. If Zhao Yuner could pay for it, it would be best. "Miss, since you're relatives, why don't you help pay these 5 taels of silver for the medical fees first? Can't you ask them for the money later?" Zhao Yuner directly refused. "Doctor, do you think this is appropriate? Don't you know who to ask for the money from?" The doctor felt that he was in the wrong, so he shut up and did not say anything else. Then, he turned to Liang Jinfen and said, "Are you going to pay or not? If you don't, I'm really going to call the authorities. If this young lady doesn't pay for you, then you have to pay for it yourself." Liang Jinfen panicked. He looked at the doctor and then at Zhao Yuner. "Doctor, I really can't afford it. If I could afford the 5 taels of silver, why wouldn't I pay? Please let us go. My daughter is also very pitiful. You saw it yourself just now. What can we do with our in-laws?" Although the doctor sympathized with Liang Jinfen and Su Zhaodi, he had seen too many similar situations. Some were even more pitiful than Liang Jinfen and Su Zhaodi. They opened medical centers not for charity. At the end of the day, it was all about making money. Everyone complained tearfully. If they didn't pay, the clinic would have closed long ago. Therefore, the doctor said with a cold face, "Not a single cent less. You have to pay. I'll give you 2 hours. If you can't come up with the money, the authorities will come." Liang Jinfen trembled, his face full of worry. It seemed that he had no choice but to pay the 5 taels of silver. Liang Jinfen looked at Zhao Yuner and began to play the sympathy card. He said to Zhao Yuner, "Last Yuner, look at Zhaodi. She's your cousin after all. She's already pitiful enough today. You can't bear to see this child abandoned. Naturally, you can't bear to see Zhaodi suffer. Second aunt knows that you have money. If you want to help us, then help us to the end. Why don't you pay these 5 taels of silver as well? Second aunt and Zhaodi will be grateful to you for the rest of our lives. Yuner, second aunt is really begging you." Chapter 1462. The corners of Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched when she saw this. She was willing to raise the child, After all, it was a life. However, she felt that there was no need to help shameless people like Liang Jinfen and Su Zhaodi. Her own life was important, but was the child's life not important? Seeing that these two people did not care about the child at all, and had even cruelly abandoned the child, why should she care about them? Zhao Yin'er coldly rejected. Second aunt, it's easy for you to say that. 5 taels of silver is not a small sum. Your family has always been talking about having money. How can you not have the money? After so many years, second aunt must have saved up a secret stash of money. Moreover, cousin Zhaodi is living a good life with her in-laws. She has a lot of jewelry on her. Second aunt, why don't you take out your secret stash of money, and cousin Zhaodi can sell her jewelry to raise the money. We will definitely be able to raise the money. Liang Jinfen's expression stiffened when he heard this. Zhao Yin'er was right. If they really had to raise the money, they would definitely be able to raise the 5 taels of silver. However, how could he be willing to take out the secret stash of money that he had saved up for a long time? This money was reserved for emergencies in the future. Yin'er, this, second aunt, you can settle your own matters. I have to go back. Zhao Yin'er said. She could not be bothered with Liang Jinfen anymore. She pulled Mu Hin and Mu Lan and left the medical center together. Liang Jinfen immediately panicked. He wanted to leave with Zhao Yin'er, but was stopped by the doctor. Where are you going? You can't leave. You can only leave after you pay me the money. Doctor, Liang Jinfen was helpless. It looked like he really had to fork out his own money. After leaving the clinic, Zhao Yin'er's mood suddenly improved a lot without Liang Jinfen, the weirdo in front of her. The baby in Mulan's arms was still obedient and sensible. It didn't cry and continued to suck on its own fingers. Zhao Yin'er glanced at the baby's quiet little face, and the unpleasantness just now dissipated a lot. Although she wasn't his biological child, he couldn't help but like a newborn baby. It was not the child's fault for having such parents. Zhao Yin'er would not vent her anger on the child for Su Zhaodi's strange behavior. At the end of the day, no matter what the parents did, the child was innocent. Mulan shook her head and sighed. Sigh, Yin'er, I've seen it for myself today. There are too many weird people. What kind of relative is your second aunt? How dare she set you up? Zhao Yin'er snorted. Unfortunately, it's useless even if she wants to trick you. We can't let her take advantage of you so easily. Sigh, that's true. But it's fine now. Let's go out and let him solve it himself. Yin'er, let's go buy some sheep. Let's go back and get some milk for the child. Don't let her go hungry for too long. Mulan was full of motherly love at this moment. As a mother, Mulan naturally couldn't help but treat such a small child well. Zhao Yin'er nodded and glanced at the baby again. She thought that if she really brought this child back, she would have to take good care of her. However, she didn't have any experience in raising children. When she took over the original owner, Douda was already 3 years old. He was much easier to raise than a pink baby. Chapter 1463. Mulan's sister-in-law. If there's anything that I don't know, you have to teach me a little. You're more experienced than me in taking care of children. Zhao Yin'er said to Mulan. Mulan chuckled. Don't worry, Yin. If you want to take care of this child, feel free to call me if you need my help. I won't refuse. Children are young and the most tiring. You definitely won't be able to handle it alone. When I'm free, I'll help you take care of her. This child and I are fated to be together. Looking at her makes one's heart ache. In the future, I'll treat her as my own daughter. After hearing Mulan's words, Zhao Yin'er's lips curled into a smile. The two of them quickly arrived at the market and found a place to sell sheep. Dozens of sheep were penned up, and the rams and ewes were sold separately. Because the ewes had milk, the price was a little more expensive than the rams. Zhao Yin'er asked the stall owner to pick a ewes with more milk, and spent about 2 taels of silver to buy it. The ewes were led by a rope and placed on the donkey cart. Mulan carried the toddler onto the ox cart, and the few of them rushed towards Shuilan village. When they returned to Shuilan village, many people saw the toddler in Mulan's arms, and curiously came forward to ask. Zhao Yin'er was afraid that if she told these people the truth while raising the child, she would definitely have to face the gossip in the village when the child was growing up. Thus, she didn't say anything and didn't tell them the truth. At that time, no matter how these people guessed, they wouldn't be able to guess the reason. The few of them first went to Zhao Yiner's house. Mulan carried the toddler into the house, and Zhao Yiner led the Yu into the wooden shed. In the future, there would be one more Yu to accompany Xiao Mao in the wooden shed. Douda saw a small toddler lying on the bed and curiously went forward to ask, "Auntie, who is this little sister? Why is she in my house?" Mulan smiled at Doudu and said, "This is the little sister that your mother brought back to accompany you. Doudu will be able to see her often in the future." Douda stared at the toddler and felt that although the toddler wasn't good-looking and her body was wrinkled, she looked a little cute when she nibbled on her fingers. After staring at her for a while, Douda smiled and said, "Auntie, is that true? Douda will be able to see this little sister often in the future?" "Of course it's true. Douda is so happy. She looks so little sister." "Of course she is." "Then is this? That's right. Douda will be big brother from now on. SDSS and S. S's. S. SST. No, that's great. Douda can't be his big brother." Among the people he knew, he was the youngest, so he couldn't be big brother. Now that he had a little sister who was even younger than him, happiness naturally arose spontaneously. Zhao Yiner saw Douda's happy smile as soon as she entered the house, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. It seemed that bringing this toddler back was a good thing. At least, there would be someone to accompany Doudu as he grew up. After Doudu became big brother, he would have to take on the responsibility of being big brother. This would be very beneficial for developing Douda's sense of responsibility. "Doudu, do you like little sisters?" Zhao Yiner asked with a smile. Chapter 1464. Zhao Yiner stroked Douda's head. "It's good that you like it." Douda's happiness and unhappiness were all written on his face. Seeing Douda's expression, Zhao Yiner knew that Douda really liked it. Perhaps children also liked this kind of tender baby. Mulan called out to Zhao Yiner, "Yiner, let's hurry up and feed the baby fresh milk." Zhao Yiner nodded and responded, "Okay." She went to the kitchen and took out a bowl. Then, she went to the wooden shed and prepared to milk the goat. The ewe's milk was indeed very sufficient. Zhao Yiner didn't have to milk it for long before a bowl was full. However, the baby probably couldn't drink a bowl at once. She would put the rest aside and wait for the baby to be hungry. She would heat it up and give it to her. Unfortunately, there were no milk bottles in this era. It was a little inconvenient to feed the baby, so she could only use a spoon to feed it slowly. If there were milk bottles, it wouldn't be like this. Mulan took the goat's milk from Zhao Yiner's hand and said to Zhao Yiner, let me do it. I'll feed it." "Okay." Zhao Yiner didn't argue and directly handed the bowl to Mulan. After all, Mulan had given birth to several children. She was much more experienced in taking care of children than she was. Mulan took the bowl and a small spoon. She said to the baby, Okay, baby. You don't have to eat your own hand anymore. I'll feed you milk now." As Mulan spoke, she scooped up a spoonful of goat's milk with a small spoon. She put it to the baby's mouth and carefully poured it into the baby's mouth. After drinking the goat's milk, the baby was probably really hungry. It ate it noisily. After finishing the spoonful of goat milk, the baby opened its mouth and seemed to be waiting for Mulan to feed it more. Mulan quickly made another spoonful of goat milk. Finally, after feeding half a bowl of goat milk, the baby was finally full and did not open its mouth again. Mulan put away the spoon and said to Zhao Yiner, "All right, Yiner, she's already full. You can feed her the rest of the goat's milk when she's hungry." Zhao Yiner nodded. After the toddler was full, he stopped sucking on his fingers and quickly fell asleep. The corners of Zhao Yiner's lips curled up slightly when she saw the baby's reaction. It seemed that the child was going to sleep. He placed her on the bed and let her sleep well. There was no need to take care of her too much. After Mulan glanced at the toddler, she said to Zhao Yiner, I'll go back first. If anything happens to the child and you can't handle it alone, call me." "All right, sister-in-law Mulan, you can go back." After Mulan left, Zhao Yiner glanced at the toddler. Such a small child shouldn't be able to turn over yet. The bed was so big, there shouldn't be any accidents if she fell asleep. Now that Daodu was in the room, Zhao Yuner said to Daodu, "Daodu, can you help mother look after the little sister? Mother will go cook now." Daodu nodded obediently and replied, Mother, go ahead. Daodu will look after the little sister. I promise I won't let anything happen to her." Daodu is so obedient. Hee. Daodu raised his small face with a bright smile on his face. Although the toddler was already asleep, Daodu stayed by the toddler's side in high spirits. He cupped his face with his small hands and carefully observed the sleeping toddler. Chapter 1465. Zhao Yuner glanced at the baby, then turned around and went to the kitchen to prepare lunch. By the time the meal was ready, Mu Lianfeng had also returned from the mountain. Seeing the baby in the house, Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned. He asked Zhao Yuner, "Yuner, whose child is this?" "Guess." "I can't guess." Mu Lianfeng shook his head. He felt that Zhao Yuner was making things difficult for him. Among the people that Zhao Yuner usually interacted with, she had never heard of anyone who was pregnant. Could it be that this child was adopted by Zhao Yuner? No matter who it is, it will be ours in the future. I want to keep this child by my side. After raising her, she will be our daughter. Mu Lianfeng, what do you think? Mu Lianfeng glanced at the baby on the bed. The newborn child was so small and weak that it made people want to cherish her. Mu Lianfeng nodded and said, "Yuner, if you like, it's naturally no problem for you to keep her by your side." Seeing that Mu Lianfeng agreed, Zhao Yuner's lips curled up. Then, she told Mu Lianfeng what had happened. After listening to Zhao Yuner's words, Mu Lianfeng's love for the baby on the bed increased. "In that case, we have to take good care of this child. She's a pitiful person." "Yes." Zhao Yuner replied. How could a child not be pitiful when she was abandoned by her biological parents on the first day of her birth? However, Zhao Yuner would never let this child suffer any hardships if she followed them. She would definitely protect her in the palm of her hand and cherish her as her own child. Zhao Yuner called Mu Lianfeng for lunch. In the afternoon, Zhao Yuner went to stir the tea leaves and then handed the baby to Mu Lianfeng. Mu Lianfeng was a grown man. When had he ever taken care of such a small baby? However, Zhao Yuner had something to do, and he was at home. If he could help Zhao Yuner, he had to help her. The baby lay on the bed and slept quietly. He just had to make sure that nothing would happen to the baby. After Zhao Yuner left for a while, the baby woke up and lay on the bed crying nonstop. Mu Lianfeng's brows furrowed slightly. He walked to the bed and glanced at the toddler. Then he picked the toddler up. "What's wrong? Baby, don't cry, don't cry." Mu Lianfeng hugged her carefully and coaxed her softly. Unfortunately, it didn't have any effect at all. The baby in Mu Lianfeng's arms was still crying, and she was crying so sadly that Mu Lianfeng's heart ached slightly. Wah wah wah, wah wah wah, the baby was crying so sadly that her little face was red. Mu Lianfeng suddenly panicked. What was going on? Zhao Yuner wasn't here now. He was at a loss in this situation and didn't know how to solve it at all. "What should we do now?" Mu Lianfeng muttered. Such a small child couldn't speak. Otherwise, he could have told him, so that he would know what was going on. Daodu was tired from playing outside. He walked into the room and heard the baby crying. He said to Mu Lianfeng, "Daddy, what's wrong with little sister? She's crying so sadly." "Daddy, did you bully little sister?" Mu Lianfeng's mouth twitched, and he smiled helplessly. How could he bear to bully such a small baby? Of course not. But Daddy doesn't know why little sister is crying. Chapter 1466. Mu Lianfeng thought about it for a moment, and it was indeed possible. Children would always cry when they were hungry. After knowing the reason, Mu Lianfeng breathed a sigh of relief. That should be the case. Let's feed her some goat's milk. Before Zhao Yuner left, she had already told Mu Lianfeng to feed the baby some goat's milk if she was hungry. Zhao Yuner had already prepared the goat's milk and placed it on the table. He took it and warmed it in hot water. Mu Lianfeng quickly placed the baby back on the bed and warmed up the goat's milk. Then he came over and prepared to feed the baby. However, after drinking a mouthful of goat's milk, the baby continued to cry. Mu Lianfeng was puzzled. Could it be that it wasn't because she was hungry, but because of something else? Douda tugged at Mu Lianfeng's sleeve and said to Mu Lianfeng, "Father, little sister doesn't seem to be hungry. Hurry up and hug her and coax her." Mu Lianfeng frowned and put the bowl on the table. Then, he picked up the baby and paced back and forth to coax her. Okay, little baby, don't cry. Wah wah wah." The baby cried even louder. Douda couldn't help but say to Mu Lianfeng, "Father, it must be because you were too loud and scared the baby." Mu Lianfeng looked at Doudu somewhat innocently. It was the first time he had been reprimanded by his own son, and it was because of a baby. Mu Lianfeng sighed in his heart. Great. Now that his precious son had a little sister, he would ignore him in the future. It was obvious that he was biased towards the little sister. Wah wah wah, the baby cried very pitifully. Both father and son were at a loss when they saw the baby like this. Douda frowned and said to Mu Lianfeng, "Father, I'd better go look for mother. Mother is back. Little sister will definitely be fine." Mu Lianfeng nodded in agreement. In this situation, they could only look for Zhao Yun. Otherwise, if the baby continued to cry, even if she was fine, something would happen. Douda quickly ran out of the room, while Mu Lianfeng continued to hug the baby and coax her. When Zhao Yun came back, the baby immediately stopped crying. Mu Lianfeng was still puzzled. Could it be that this little baby understood human nature? When he knew that Zhao Yun was back, he immediately stopped crying and making a fuss. Why aren't you crying?" Mu Lianfeng looked curiously at the baby in his arms. "Yun, you didn't cry when you came back this time. You were crying so hard just now." Zhao Yun smiled and glanced at the baby. She said to Mu Lianfeng, "Come, give it to me. I'll hold it." Okay. When Mu Lianfeng handed over the baby in his arms, he felt that something was wrong. Then, he saw that his clothes were stained with urine. Mu Lianfeng immediately understood why the baby had been crying so miserably just now. But now, he had suddenly recovered. It turned out that the baby was crying because she wanted to pee. Now that she was done peeing, she naturally stopped crying and making trouble. Seeing a large wet patch on Mu Lianfeng's chest, Zhao Yun couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ha ha ha. Mu Lianfeng's face was calm, and he was rather speechless. This child actually peed on his body. Ha ha ha, Mu Lianfeng, her first pee was given to you. This is a glorious thing. It shows that this child likes you enough. Chapter 1467. Haha. Zhao Yun couldn't help but laugh a few more times. Mu Lianfeng's face was bitter. This was great. His body was soaked with urine, and he had to wash it properly. After Zhao Yun finished laughing, she said to Mu Lianfeng, "I'll boil some water for you to take a bath and change your clothes. I'll wash you later." Mu Lianfeng nodded and said, "Okay." Although it was a child's urine, the weather was very hot. If he didn't change his clothes and wash them, his body would soon smell. As for the baby, Zhao Yun was prepared to wipe his butt. With Mu Lianfeng's lesson this time, Zhao Yun knew that she had to make a few diapers for the child. Otherwise, it would be easy for him to urinate when he hugged him. Moreover, he was sleeping on the bed. If he peed on the bed, the smell would probably be stronger. At that time, the sheets would have to be changed and washed, which would be more troublesome. There were still some rags at home. She just had to cut a few pieces of cloth to use as diapers. Unfortunately, there were no diapers in ancient times. Otherwise, it would be convenient to use, and there would be no need to be afraid of the child's urine. After the baby finished peeing, Zhao Yun coaxed him a few times, and he quickly fell asleep. After putting the baby back on the bed, Zhao Yun took out a piece of rags and placed it under the baby's butt. Then, she quickly cut a few diapers and washed them together with Mu Lianfeng's clothes later. The diapers could be used after they were dried. Zhao Yun first went to boil a pot of water and let Mu Lianfeng take a bath. After helping the baby wipe his butt, she carried the clothes and went to the river. The women by the river were discussing animatedly the news that Zhao Yun brought a baby back spread in the village. They were all discussing where the baby had come from and what it was for. Zhao Yun was a little speechless after hearing the boring gossip of these women. They were really curious about everything. "I say, Yunner girl, She brought back a boy to raise, but you brought back a money-losing thing. Exactly. Yunner girl, if you want to raise a good-for-nothing, there are plenty of them in our village. I have some at home. Why don't I give you one? If I follow you, I'll be able to eat and drink well and live a good life. That's right. Yunner, my family has one too. You've given birth to 3 girls in my wife's belly this year. If this baby is a girl again, why don't you take her back and help me raise her? Yunner girl, you're still very young. Wouldn't it be great if you could give birth to your own child if you're together with the heir? Why are you raising someone else's daughter? Faced with these gossipy women's questions, Zhao Yunner pursed her lips and said, This is my business. I'll raise whoever I want. She's my daughter from now on. You're not allowed to make a fuss. If I hear anyone gossiping later, see if I don't tear their mouth apart. After Zhao Yunner fiercely warned them, the gossipy women immediately stopped talking. If Zhao Yunner threw a tantrum, everyone would be afraid. At most, they wouldn't say it in front of her face, but they would still talk about it behind her back. Anyway, Zhao Yunner's behavior was stupid in their eyes. The villagers had never helped raise someone else's daughter, unless it was raising a child bride. However, if Daodu was the heir's son, would he still be afraid of not being able to find a wife in the future? There was no need to raise him now. Chapter 1468. After returning, Daodu and Mu Lianfeng, one adult and one child, stayed by the bed and watched the baby sleep. Both of their eyes were filled with love. The father and son also took good care of the baby. Even though they were not related by blood, they were still very close. It was a misfortune for the child to be abandoned by her parents. But for her family, the child was also blessed. Seeing that Zhao Yunner had returned, Daodu pulled Zhao Yunner and said to Zhao Yunner, Mother, shouldn't we give little sister a name? Give her a name. Yes, Daodu has a name, and little sister should also have a name. In the future, Daodu can call little sister by her name. Zhao Yunner thought about it, and felt that Daodu's words made sense. Children should be named. Zhao Yunner glanced at the baby and asked Daodu first, Daodu, what do you think should be a good name for little sister? Daodu thought about it and said to Zhao Yunner, Mother, let's call little sister Tian in the future, okay? Look at little sister's sleeping appearance, and the smell on her body. It's all sweet. Zhao Yunner thought about it and replied, Okay, then let's call her little sister Tian. Yes, yes. Daodu nodded heavily. Okay, you two father and son don't look anymore. Don't disturb her sleep. Okay. In the next few days, nothing major happened in the village. It was just that the weather was a little hotter, and it didn't take long for them to break out in a hot sweat. This kind of weather was fine for adults. They could just grit their teeth and bear with it. But for a newborn baby, it was a kind of torture. Zhao Yunner realized that it was probably because it was too hot that the baby started to have heat rashes. It was probably very uncomfortable for such a young child to have heat rashes. However, there was no prickly heat powder in this era, and Zhao Yunner did not know how to deal with it. The ancient and modern methods were different. Perhaps there were other methods. She had to ask around later. At present, Zhao Yunner could only wipe the child's body more to prevent the child from sweating. In the past few days, Mulan had made 2 sets of clothes for the children. They were made from the silk that Zhao Yunner had bought before. It was better for the child to wear these smooth clothes than to wear coarse clothes. At the same time, the baby was able to open his eyes. Daodu was the first to discover that the baby could open its eyes. Daodu called for Zhao Yunner and Mu Lianfeng in surprise when he saw the baby's big, bright eyes. Father, mother, quickly look. Little sister has opened her eyes. Little sister, your eyes are so big and beautiful. Seeing Daodu so excited, Zhao Yunner walked over and looked at Tian. This child's eyes were really big, and the most important thing was that they were black like jewels. They were very bright, without any impurities. This pair of eyes was really moving. After a few days, the baby had grown a little, and was no longer as wrinkled as when she was first brought back. Moreover, her eyelashes were also very long. Together with her eyes, the whole pair of eyes was extraordinarily beautiful. Su Zhaodi and Liang Jinfen probably would not have guessed that Tian could grow to be so beautiful. As for Tiantian's other facial features, they were relatively flat, so they didn't look very good. Zhao Yuner felt that the child was still young. Perhaps when the child grew up, she would become more and more beautiful. Chapter 1469. When Lil Pi said this, Tiantian seemed to understand Lil Pi's words. Her beautiful eyes looked towards Tiantian. Dao began to introduce himself. Little sister Tiantian, I'm your big brother. This is mother, and this is father. Following Dao's introduction, Tiantian looked at Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng. Then, a sweet smile appeared on her little face. Hee, Tiantian smiled. This was the first time Zhao Yuner and her family had seen this baby smile. Dao said excitedly, Father, mother, look at little sister's smile. Mu Lianfeng smiled and nodded. Yes, she must be very happy to see her family. That's why she smiled at us. That means little sister likes us. Yes, little sister likes us. That's great. We like little sister too. Tiantian smiled for a while, and then got tired. Dao couldn't hold back his excitement, and lay in front of Tiantian's bed, chattering away. Tiantian, on the other hand, was very respectful and listened to Dao attentively. When Dao smiled, she even giggled a few times. After Zhao Yuner was done with the chores at home, she carried Tiantian out for a walk, and prepared to go to the third branch. After giving Liang Jinxiao the cold shoulder for a while, it was time to talk to him, and get to know him better. Liang Jinxiao must have been very upset that she had neglected Liang Jinxiao for a while. When she went to the third branch, she would ask if they had any way to treat Tiantian's heat rash. The baby was soft and comfortable in her arms. Because Tiantian was a premature baby, he was very small, and only weighed a few kilograms. It was not difficult to carry him. However, when she carried Tiantian, Zhao Yuner carefully supported Tiantian's back to prevent him from twisting his waist. Zhao Yuner soon arrived at old Zhao's house. Old Zhao's sisters-in-law were sitting under a tree in the yard. They were holding fans in their hands, fanning themselves as they chatted. On such a hot day, all the work was done in the morning or in the evening. At this time, there was nothing to do. Liang Jinxiao smiled when he saw Zhao Yuner coming over. She knew that Zhao Yuner was angry with her, so she was embarrassed to look for Zhao Yuner. However, these days, Zhao Yuner didn't come to look for her, so she was a little anxious. Now Zhao Yuner had finally arrived. Li Chuiying had also become more polite. He hurriedly pulled out a stool, and asked Zhao Yuner to sit down. Come, Yuner girl, you must be tired from carrying the child. Hurry and sit down. Seeing Li Chuiying being so polite, Zhao Yuner was not used to it. She was also a little embarrassed. Thank you, second aunt. What are you thanking me for? You're welcome. Li Chuiying replied. The sisters-in-law in the yard began to gossip. Feng Zhangxia said, A few days ago, I heard from the villagers that you brought back a baby girl, Yuner, but I didn't have time to see her. Today, I finally saw her. Yuner girl, tell us what's wrong with this child. Why did you bring back such a baby? In the face of Feng Zhangxia's gossip, Zhao Yuner did not pay attention to it. She knew that his aunt was a gossipy woman. If she told him, she would probably spread it to the village. So it was better not to say it. Chapter 1470. Feng Zhangxia began to scold her again. Yuner, you're really muddle-headed. If you wanted a daughter, you could have given birth to one yourself. Why do you have to complain about what others have done? Zhao Yuner pursed her lips and replied unhappily, Auntie, this is my business. You don't have to interfere, right? Feng Zhangxia smiled embarrassedly. Okay, I won't interfere. Yuner, I'm just concerned about you. I don't think it's worth it for you. Since you don't want to hear it, I won't say it. Liang Jinxiao and Li Chuiying did not say anything. They looked at the baby in Zhao Yuner's arms, and felt that it was very cute. This child is so obedient. It's rare to see a child who doesn't cry, or make a fuss in Yuner's arms. Li Chuiying praised. Liang Jinxiao smiled and said, Yes, it's rare to see such an obedient child. Yuner, where did you get it? Zhao Yuner chuckled. Of course I got it from somewhere. But I'm here today to ask you what to do about the child's rash. It's getting bigger and bigger. If this continues, the child will definitely feel uncomfortable. After hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Li Chuiying and Liang Jinxiao did not say anything. But Feng Zhangxia acted in front of Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, I know. Let me take a look at this baby. Zhao Yun'er hesitated for a moment before handing Tiantian over. After Feng Zhangxia carried Tiantian, she checked Tiantian's body. The child, who did not cry or make a fuss, opened its mouth and cried loudly in Feng Zhangxia's arms. Wah wah wah, wah wah wah, Tiantian cried miserably. Feng Zhangxia comforted her. Okay. I'm checking your rash. Why are you crying when it's good for you? Wah wah wah, Tiantian ignored Feng Qingxia and continued to cry. Aya, you're such a disobedient child. Why are you crying when I'm treating your rashes? What are you going to do when you see the rashes on your body? Tiantian pursed her lips with an aggrieved look on her face, but her cries became softer. Feng Zhangxia put Tiantian on her lap and turned her over, ready to see Tiantian's butt. Just as he removed the diaper from Tiantian's butt and turned it over to check the heat rash on her butt, he heard a thump, and a slightly smelly smell spread out. Feng Zhangxia's face immediately darkened. So this child was a sh*t eater. No wonder she was crying so hard. The problem was, of all times, he had to leave when she was looking at her butt, causing her hands to be covered in poop. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but laugh. Tiantian really gave her aunt something special. I is so dirty, so dirty. Feng Zhangxia frowned and complained unhappily. Zhao Yun'er took Tiantian and said to Feng Zhangxia, Aunt, the child doesn't know any better. You're an adult. You won't be so calculative with her, right? The corner of Feng Zhangxia's mouth twitched. She could only admit that she was unlucky and replied, Of course I won't be calculative with a child. Am I such a petty person? Zhao Yun'er chuckled. That's good. Big aunt, go wash your hands. Feng Zhangxia responded indifferently. She quickly got up and washed her hands with clean water. Fortunately, it wasn't an adult's poop, so the smell wasn't strong. She had raised 2 children and a grandson, so this kind of thing happened often. Chapter 1471. After washing her hands, Feng Zhangxia couldn't help but complain to Zhao Yun'er. I say, Yun'er girl. Didn't Aunt say that this child needs to be educated properly? She's so young. She has to develop the habit of not pooping casually. Otherwise, what if this happens again? Zhao Yun'er knew that Feng Zhangxia was uncomfortable, so she said to Tiantian, Tiantian, did you hear that? Don't poo casually next time. Otherwise, if you poo on Auntie again, she will beat you. Tiantian blinked her eyes, as if she understood what he said. After the first time, Feng Zhangxia didn't dare to hold Tiantian again, for fear that Tiantian would poo or pee again. Liang Jinxiao took Tiantian's hand and checked the heat rash on her body. He said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, it's not difficult to get rid of the heat rash on the child's body. You can go to the mountain to pick some mint and boil it with water. Then use the water to bathe the child. This was a method used by the country people, and it was quite effective. Many children were born in the summer, and it was common for them to have heat rash. Tiantian's situation was not very serious. Zhao Yun'er frowned and confirmed, Mother, this child is only a few days old. Can I bathe her already? Zhao Yun'er had no experience in taking care of children, so she could only ask the elders. Liang Jinxiao smiled and said, Of course, the child can bathe the second day after birth. That's good. I'll pick some tea leaves later. Okay. After bathing a few more times, the heat rash on the child's body will probably go away. Okay, Mother, I know. Now that she knew the prescription to get rid of the heat rash, she didn't have to worry about Tiantian's heat rash. Zhao Yun'er chatted with Liang Jinxiao and the others. Then, she heard shouting from the second branch's room. Tianyu's mother, Tianyu's mother. Second sister-in-law, second brother is calling you. Feng Zhangxia patted Li Chuiying. Li Chuiying pursed his lips and said, You guys go ahead. I'll go in for a while. Second sister-in-law, go ahead. Yes. After seeing Li Chuiying go in, Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but ask, Mother, second uncle's but hasn't recovered yet? It doesn't make sense. It's been so many days. How could it not have recovered? Liang Jinxiao shook his head and said, I don't know. Maybe the injury on your second uncle's but was too serious, so he didn't recover. Zhao Yin'er did not believe it. Even if she broke her leg, she should have recovered after lying down for so long. Not to mention that it was just a spanking. Her bones and muscles were not hurt at all. She felt that Zhao Wenshui was lying on the bed on purpose. How nice it would be to lie in bed, without having to work in the field, and to have someone to take care of her. Living such a comfortable life, he naturally wouldn't admit that his injury had recovered. After Li Chuiying came out for a while, he said helplessly to Liang Jinxiao and the other sisters-in-law, "Hey, Tianyu's father said he was hungry and wanted to eat eggs and syrup. I'll go get him an egg and syrup." In the countryside, eggs and syrup were a good thing. Zhao Yun'er didn't expect that Zhao Wenshui, a man, would have the nerve to ask for it. Second sister-in-law, "Do you still have eggs in your house?" Liang Jinxiao asked worriedly. Zhao Wenshui wanted to eat this and that every day. How could they afford it when they didn't have enough money? Chapter 1472. The sisters-in-law didn't say anything, but they knew very well in their hearts. Zhao Jing'er's in-laws gave her money to temporarily solve her urgent needs. If Zhao Jing'er continued to be lazy in the future, no matter how much money she had, it would probably run out. Thinking about it, Zhao Wenshui was really a bad person. He ran out to fool around outside, suffered, and couldn't move in bed. In the end, didn't he have to rely on his wife to serve him? But judging from Zhao Wenshui's current state, Zhao Wenshui didn't have a trace of repentance at all. This kind of person was really disgusting. If Li Chuiying continued to live with him, she would suffer. Zhao Yin'er suddenly felt a little pity for people like Li Chuiying, but she just kept it in her heart. At the moment, she didn't want to interfere with Li Chuiying's matter. Li Chuiying turned around and went to the kitchen to boil eggs in sugar water. Feng Zhangxia then told the sisters-in-law the gossip she heard outside. "Hehe, you still don't know. Second brother's situation is considered good. That shameless B***tch, after being spanked, she still can't get up. Now she can only stay in bed, and I haven't seen her go out for a few days. But she probably doesn't dare to go out after doing such a shameful thing. Is it really that serious?" Qian Zhuli gossiped. "Of course it's true. I heard that her daughter wanted to ask our village's Dr. Sun to take a look. Dr. Sun originally agreed to take a look, but later refused." "Why?" Qian Zhuli gossiped. Feng Zhangxia covered her mouth and snickered. "It's funny. Think about it, Qian Chuanxiu is a woman. How can a woman's big white but be seen by a man?" Qian Zhuli nodded and said, "That's true. A woman's but really can't be seen by a man. That's why. Qian Zholi's but can't recover, so there's no way to get a doctor to take a look. Dr. Sun's wife refused. After all, if Dr. Sun took a look, who knows if there would be some gossip? It's so unpleasant." Yeah. Dr. Sun hadn't even rushed over to see him when his wife caught him halfway and dragged him back by the ear. She even scolded Qian Chuanxiu's daughter. Haha. It's hilarious just thinking about it. Qian Chuanxiu reaped what she sowed. Her buttocks probably won't recover. Which doctor would dare to show a woman's buttocks for his own reputation? Feng Zhangxia's words were filled with schadenfreude. Seeing the smile on Feng Zhangxia's face, Zhao Yin'er couldn't help but sneer in her heart. What Feng Zhangxia said was not unreasonable. Qian Chuanxiu deserved it. After leaving the third branch, Zhao Yin'er left Tiantian in the care of Mu Lianfeng. She went up the mountain to look for some mint. She remembered that there was a lot of mint on the mountain, so it should be easy to find. After walking for a while, Zhao Yin'er finally found the peppermint. She excitedly plucked the peppermint and put it into the basket on her back. Suddenly, she felt a strange noise behind her. It sounded like the sound of a person's footsteps stepping on leaves. Zhao Yin'er quickly looked around, but she didn't see anyone. Could it be the sound of an animal walking past? It should be like that. There were many animals in the mountain forest. Maybe they would wander away in a while, and she wouldn't be able to find them. Chapter 1473. But suddenly, there was another burst of sound. Zhao Yin'er's brows wrinkled and she became vigilant. After being a police officer for so many years, she still had this level of concentration. This was obviously not right. It didn't seem like an animal. Could it be a person? But who was it? Why was it so mysterious? Could it be that it wanted to do something to her? Zhao Yun'er was too busy to continue harvesting the peppermint. She quickly got up and wanted to leave. Unfortunately, she had only taken a few steps when a figure suddenly attacked her from behind. The other party's martial arts were impressive. Zhao Yun'er didn't last long before she felt her vision go black and she fainted. Before she fainted, she was still wondering who this person was and why he wanted to attack her. What did he want to do? Would it be disadvantageous to her? No matter what, it was too late for her to think about this. She had fallen into someone else's hands and could only be manipulated. At this moment, Mu Lianfeng probably didn't know what had happened to her. At the same time, Tian, who was lying on the bed, suddenly cried loudly. Mu Lianfeng and Doubter rushed to the bed. What's wrong, Tian? Why are you crying all of a sudden? Little sister Tian, why are you crying? Both father and son frowned and looked at Tian worriedly. Tian was crying very miserably at this moment, as if she had encountered something sad that she had never experienced before. Daddy, is Tian hungry? Let's quickly feed her some goat's milk. Mu Lianfeng nodded and replied, Okay. After warming the milk, Mu Lianfeng fed Tian some. Unfortunately, Tian didn't drink it at all. Thinking back to the last time, Tian cried not because she was hungry, but because she wanted to pee. Mu Lianfeng quickly carried her. After a few days of walking, Mu Lianfeng was quite good at helping Tian pee. Okay, Tian, don't cry, come pee. Pee. Mu Lianfeng kept peeing for a long time, but Tian didn't pee or poop. Mu Lianfeng was puzzled. She wasn't hungry, and she didn't want to pee. Why was Tian crying so hard? Daddy, why isn't it working? Doubta's delicate little face showed some concern. Mu Lianfeng shook his head. I don't know, Daddy. I don't know what's going on. Little Tian's. Why is she crying, Tian? I don't know. Mu Lianfeng shook his head with a worried expression. What should we do now? Doubta sighed heavily. He was extremely worried. Mu Lianfeng could only hug Tian and continue to coax her. All right, little darling, don't cry, all right? If you continue crying, your throat will be damaged. Tian, listen to Daddy of Daddy, don't cry, wah. Tian was still crying very sadly. Mu Lianfeng coaxed Tian as he rocked her. This was the first time he was so patient with someone. Looking at the baby in his arms, all of his impatience disappeared. Unfortunately, after coaxing for a while, Tian was tired from crying and stopped crying loudly. She was still sobbing. Daddy, we can only wait for Mommy to come back. Tian must be crying because Mommy left. Doubta said. Mu Lianfeng felt that Doubta's words made a lot of sense. That should be the case. We'll have a solution when your mommy comes back. Chapter 1474. Wah, the toddler didn't seem to understand Mu Lianfeng's words. Her small mouth twitched, feeling very wronged. Seeing the toddler like this, Mu Lianfeng's heart couldn't help but ache. At this moment, he only hoped that Zhao Yun'er would come back quickly, so that he could coax Tian. However, after waiting for a long time, Mu Lianfeng still didn't see Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er left for 2 hours. If it was just a trip up the mountain, it wouldn't take so long, right? Could there have been an accident? Mu Lianfeng frowned, and there was a touch of worry between his eyebrows. His heart suddenly felt a little uneasy, as if something big had happened. Although he was worried, there was still nothing he could do. He could only continue to wait at home. After waiting for another hour, he still didn't see Zhao Yun'er come back. If this continued, the sky would turn dark. Doubta tugged at Mu Lianfeng's sleeve and said to Mu Lianfeng, Father, do you think something happened to Mother? Why hasn't she come back yet? Should we go up the mountain to look for Mother? Mu Lianfeng frowned and said to Doubtu, Let's wait for another hour. If your mother doesn't come back, Father will go up the mountain to look for her. You wait at home. The mountain is dangerous, don't go. Doubta nodded in agreement. The father and son waited at home for a while. At this moment, Zhao Yun'er still hadn't come back, so they confirmed that something must have happened to Zhao Yun'er It was fine to leave Daodu at home, but Tian was such a small child. It couldn't be left at home. Someone had to take care of her. Who said that the child was tired from crying? She had just been fed milk and had fallen asleep. However, he wasn't sure how long he would have to look for her in the mountain. Therefore, before going to look for Zhao Yun, Mu Lianfeng took Daodu and Tian to Mulan's house. He decided to entrust Daodu and Tian to Mulan's care. Mulan took care of Tian better than Zhao Yun. Mu Lianfeng was very relieved to leave Tian with Mulan. When Mulan heard that Zhao Yun hadn't come back from the mountain, she was very worried and anxious. She said to Yun, leave Tian with me. I'll take care of her. I'll let my husband go up the mountain with you. I'll let my husbands to go up the mountain to look for her. The more people, Yun to work. Helped us to choose to look to find her tut. The more people. Extra. Is. As he. Tino to beat. Smu Long called out. Huar's father. Hurry up and go with heir apparent. The two of you can go up the mountain together. You can help each other. By the way, bring a torch. It's getting dark. I don't think you can see the road clearly. Also bring a knife as a self-defense tool. It'll be bad if you encounter any wild beasts. Zhu Eru had already prepared Mulan's instructions. He hurried up the mountain with Mu Lianfeng. The two of them searched for a long time, but they still couldn't find any trace of Zhao Yun. In the end, they were exhausted from searching. They didn't see any trace of her until the next morning. Finally, the two of them arrived at the place where Zhao Yun disappeared. Zhu Eru pointed to a basket and said to Mu Lianfeng, Heir apparent, look. Isn't this Yun's basket? Mu Lianfeng stared at the basket. It really was Zhao Yun's. Yes, but the basket is here. Where's Yun? Mu Lianfeng frowned. He looked around the basket, but he couldn't find any trace of Zhao Yun. Chapter 1475. She was taken away? Yes, this basket was casually thrown on the ground. It is very obvious that it was done by someone. In my opinion, someone targeted Miss Yun and took Miss Yun away. Zhu Eru expressed his opinion. When Mu Lianfeng heard this, he felt that it made some sense. Since the basket was there, it meant that Zhao Yun was here at that time. There was no blood on the ground, so it was not because of some wild beast. If she was knocked out and taken away, then it was very likely. If so, then the matter was more serious. Mu Lianfeng's heart was full of worries. Who on earth took Yun away and why? Where is Yun now? How is she? Is she okay? Thinking of this, Zhao Yun may be in danger. Mu Lianfeng was even more worried. He was afraid that Zhao Yun would have an accident. Now he didn't know where Zhao Yun was. And he didn't know who was targeting Zhao Yun. Things became very difficult for a while. Even if he wanted to save Zhao Yun, at least he had a clue and knew where to start, right? What should he do now? Mu Lianfeng's brows were tightly knitted together. He prayed in his heart that nothing happened to Zhao Yun. Zhu Eru said, Shiziyi, it seems that Yun is not on this mountain. Let's go down the mountain. Mu Lianfeng nodded. After searching for a night, Zhu Eru was afraid that he was tired. It would be good to let him go back and rest. As for him, he had to go back and think about it carefully. He had to find all the possibilities, to find out who might have taken Zhao Yun away. With a worried heart, Mu Lianfeng went down the mountain. Daodu and Tian slept with Mulan at night. When Daodu saw Mu Lianfeng come back, he rushed to Mu Lianfeng and asked, Father, did you find mother? Seeing Daodu's young and worried face, Mu Lianfeng's eyes had a touch of guilt. He shook his head and told Daodu the truth. No, father didn't find your mother. Hearing this, Daodu's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. His little mouth twitched as he said in a very aggrieved manner, Daddy, then could it be that something happened to mother? Would Daodu still have a chance to see mother? Mu Lianfeng took Daodu in his arms and softly said to Daodu, Daodu, don't worry. Father will never let anything happen to mother. Father, is that true? Really, father swears, I will definitely find mother. After being comforted by Mu Lianfeng for a while, Daodu also calmed down. However, Mu Lianfeng himself was more anxious than anyone else. What he was most afraid of was that these people would harm Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun was a weak woman. How much could she resist? If something happened to her, he would inevitably feel guilty. More importantly, he would never allow Zhao Yin'er to leave him. It wasn't easy for him to meet a woman he liked. How could he let her disappear so easily from his side? When Mulan saw that Mu Lianfeng couldn't find Zhao Yin'er, her heart was full of worry. She didn't sleep well the whole night, and now that she heard this news, she felt even more upset. Zhao Yin'er was usually such a good person. Who in the world would be so ruthless to her? She only hoped that the heavens would protect Zhao Yin'er, who was such a good person, and that nothing bad would happen to Zhao Yin'er. Lord Heir, if you go to find Yin or leave Daodu and Tiantian to me, I will help you take good care of them. You have to find Yin'er quickly, don't delay for too long. Chapter 1476. Your Highness, there's no need to be so courteous with me. Yin'er has always helped our family. Now that she's in trouble, I'll naturally help where I can, Mulan replied. Mu Lianfeng responded, then told Daodu. Daodu, take good care of yourself and your sister. Daddy will come back as soon as possible. I'll definitely bring Mother back safe and sound. You have to listen to Aunt Mulan for the next few days. Do you understand? Daodu nodded sensibly. Yes, yes. Daddy, go find Mother quickly. Daodu will take good care of myself and my sister. Wait for Daddy and Mother to come back. Okay. After settling Daodu and Tiantian down, Mu Lianfeng hurried up the mountain. He told Mo Yen about what happened on the mountain, then hurried back to the Crown Prince's manor. After returning to the Crown Prince's manor, he could mobilize people and arrange for them to look for Zhao Yin'er. Perhaps they could find some clues. Mu Lianfeng thought about it. The person who kidnapped Zhao Yin'er could be Morong Shuang, Imperial Consort Hua, the Emperor, or the Prime Minister. Other than these people, he really couldn't think of anyone else. If it was Morong Shuang who kidnapped Zhao Yin'er, then the possibility was very high. After all, he and Morong Shuang were betrothed, and because of the Emperor's imperial edict, their marriage was annulled. Morong Shuang was definitely unwilling to accept it. With Mu Lianfeng's understanding of Morong Shuang, as long as Morong Shuang wanted something, she would never allow it to be taken away by others. Therefore, she would think of ways to snatch it back. In that case, it was very likely that she kidnapped Zhao Yin'er. Thinking of this, Mu Lianfeng decided to go find Morong Shuang first, and see if Zhao Yin'er was with her. Morong Shuang wasn't in Yang City, but in the capital. Mu Lianfeng prepared a carriage, and rushed to the capital without stopping to rest. After traveling for a day and a night, they finally arrived at the capital. As for Zhao Yin'er, it took her a long time to wake up after she was captured. When he woke up, he found himself in a carriage. The carriage was jolting up and down, and his body was about to fall apart. Her hands and feet were tied and she couldn't move. Her mouth was gagged and she couldn't speak. When Zhao Yin'er saw herself like this, she immediately understood that she had been kidnapped. Damn it! What kind of person was he? She had no enmity with him. So who did she offend? The carriage jolted for a while before coming to a stop. Zhao Yin'er felt that even if she was kidnapped, she should at least cushion her carriage with something soft. This jolting was simply unbearable. After the carriage stopped, someone lifted the curtains of the carriage. Zhao Yin'er saw two burly men. Woo woo woo, Zhao Yin'er made a sound. She wanted to say something but couldn't. Woo woo woo, seeing that the men had confirmed that she was inside, and were about to lower the curtains, Zhao Yin'er hurriedly made a lot of noise. Woo woo woo, the two men looked at each other, and then looked at Zhao Yin'er. What does this woman want to say? I don't know. Let's not care about her. Let's just send her here. This isn't good, right? Why don't we let her say a few words and listen to what she wants to say? There's no one else here anyway. Maybe he's hungry or thirsty. Let's give him some water or something to eat. You seem to care a lot about this woman, the man teased. Chapter 1477. Since you think this woman looks good, why don't you take her? Anyway, there's nothing to do. That won't do. We can catch people, but we can't do this kind of thing. Yo, you have principles. You can control yourself. Anyway, I don't think this is good. We can't take advantage of a girl for nothing. We're paid to do things. If the employer doesn't ask us to do it, we can't do it. Okay. I was just casually mentioning it. It's up to you. Okay. The man untied Zhao Yun'er's hands and feet. Zhao Yun'er finally gasped for breath. Then she said to the man, "Thank you." Hearing Zhao Yun'er actually say thank you, the man was slightly stunned. They had been doing this for so many years, but this was the first time they had encountered such a situation. Usually, after the cloth was pulled out of their mouths, they would scream and shout. However, Zhao Yun'er was a little different. Why was she so calm? She didn't seem to have much of a reaction. This woman was really interesting. The man replied, No need to thank me. No. I still have to thank you. Finally, I can say something. Otherwise, I would have suffocated to death. Zhao Yun'er secretly complained. She could tell that this man was still relatively kind-hearted. However, as this person said, taking someone's money to do things for them was just a way to make a living in this era. He couldn't blame them. Even if this man wasn't here, the person who wanted to kidnap her would definitely have found someone else. The man tugged at the corner of his mouth and smiled slightly. Are you hungry or thirsty? Do you want to eat something and drink some water? Zhao Yun'er nodded in response. She was indeed a little thirsty and hungry. The man handed over a sesame seed cake and a water bottle. My hands are tied. Why don't you untie them? The man hesitated, as if he was afraid that Zhao Yun'er would run away. Zhao Yun'er continued. You can help me tie the rope around my feet so that I can't break free. I won't be able to escape. The man thought about it and felt that it was true, so he untied the rope on Zhao Yun'er's hand. Then, he continued to pass the pancake and water to Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er did not dislike it. After receiving it, she ate it directly. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he felt much better. The man looked at Zhao Yun'er so calm, and became more and more curious. This woman was really different from the ordinary people who had been kidnapped. However, the calmer he was, the more uneasy he felt. Could it be that he was thinking of some scheme? The man looked at Zhao Yun'er, but she didn't look like one. Zhao Yun'er said to the two men, Can you tell me who wants to catch me? Miss, you can't say that. We have to abide by our own rules. As for the employer's information, we can't reveal anything to outsiders. Zhao Yun'er yelped and did not continue to ask. Since you don't want to say, then fine, I won't ask. The two men suddenly felt that Zhao Yun'er was quite tactful. She didn't want to cause trouble with them, so it really saved them a lot of trouble. Since you can't tell me the employer's information, then can you tell me where I'm going now? Where is this road going? Zhao Yun'er decided to slowly fish for information. If she could fish out a little bit, she would be able to grasp more information and ensure her safety. Chapter 1478. Are you going to keep this a secret? It shouldn't be a big deal, right? The two men finally said, We're on our way to the capital. We'll send you there. I see. Zhao Yun'er thought for a while. The capital? There were too many people in the capital. Was it Mu Lianfeng's cousin, or Mu Lianfeng's political enemy? Or was it Imperial Consort Hua, who caused trouble for her last time? The emperor punished the people who smashed her breakfast stall and caused trouble. Imperial Consort Hua probably bore a grudge and came to cause trouble for her now. Because there were too many possible people, Zhao Yun'er was not sure who was the one who wanted to capture her. She couldn't get any information from the two men. It seemed that she had to escape. She couldn't just let herself be sent there, right? If she fell into the hands of those people, who knew what would happen and what kind of trouble she would get into? That, two little brothers, I've been holding it in for so long. I want to go to the toilet. I wonder if the two of you can untie my legs and let me go. Zhao Yun'er looked at the two men awkwardly. That won't do. If we untie you, what if you run away? How are we going to explain it to the employer? Two little brothers, don't worry. I won't run away. It's really uncomfortable to hold it in. If I keep holding it in, I'll die. No. Then what should I do? I won't pee in my pants, right? That's two little brothers. Why don't you give me 3 minutes? If I don't come over, you can chase after me. I'm a woman. I can't run far in such a short time. Even if you chase after me, you can catch up with me in a while. Don't you think so? Zhao Yun'er blinked, looking innocent and harmless. The two men looked at each other and felt that what Zhao Yun'er said made sense. How far could a woman run in 3 minutes? Naturally, she wouldn't be able to beat them. Why don't we just let her go? It's definitely uncomfortable to hold it in. Then we have to watch from the side. We can't let her find a chance to slip away. Otherwise, wouldn't we have worked for nothing? Zhao Yun'er hurriedly said. Okay, you just have to turn your backs to me. I'll be fine soon. The two men agreed and untied the rope on Zhao Yun'er's feet. Zhao Yun'er found a place with a lot of vegetation and asked the two men to stand 5 meters away and turn around. After the two men turned around, Zhao Yun'er hurriedly ran away with light hands and feet. He would try his best to run as long as he could in 3 minutes. At least it was a chance. If he didn't even try, he wouldn't be able to escape. Who knew what he would encounter next? What would he do if he encountered any danger? All she could do now was to try her best to save herself. Zhao Yun'er was exhausted after running for a while. After a bumpy day, Zhao Yun'er didn't have much strength left. Soon, Zhao Yun'er realized that the two men who had caught her had caught up with her. Zhao Yun'er tried her best to run, but she still couldn't outrun the two men. Probably because she was too tired, her legs went soft when she ran, and she fell forward. The two men had already caught up to her and grabbed her. Woman, didn't you say that you wouldn't run? Why did you run again? We trusted you too much. Chapter 1479. UB*TCH, if you run away, our efforts will be in vain. We trusted you, but you betrayed us. The two men appeared to be a little angry. Zhao Yun'er knew that she was in the wrong, so she did not say anything more. This time, she was caught by the two men again. Zhao Yun'er was not so lucky. She was directly tied up by the two men, not giving her a chance to resist. Her mouth was also covered with a cloth, so she could not break free. In this way, Zhao Yun'er was brought to the capital by these people during the bumpy and torturous journey. This was her first time in the capital. However, her body was tied up, so she could not see the situation outside the carriage. In the end, she did not know where the two men brought her. After she was taken away, she was put in a gunny sack, then sent to a firewood room and locked up. Other than when someone sent some rice over during mealtimes, there was no one at all. The door was locked, and her body was tied up with ropes. She had no ability to resist at all. Zhao Yun'er saw that these people only tied her up and did not do anything to her. She thought that they did not want her life. Otherwise, they would have taken action long ago and would not have done nothing until now. Zhao Yun'er now eliminated the possibility in her heart. If it was Morong Shuang or Imperial Consort Hua, they would have already come to her to show off in front of her. They would not ignore her after locking her up, and would not come to find trouble with her. It was very likely that they were Mu Lianfeng's political enemies. They probably wanted to capture her and threaten Mu Lianfeng, right? Thinking about it, the political enemies were really despicable. They actually used a woman to threaten her. Didn't they feel ashamed? TSK, how interesting. When Zhao Yun'er had nothing to do, she thought about how she could escape. She guessed that she was now in the mansion of some high-ranking official. With such a big courtyard, it would not be easy to escape. In addition, her hands and feet were tied, and it would not be easy to break free. As long as she could get rid of the rope on her body, the lock on the door would be easy to deal with. She had been a police officer for so many years in the 21st century, and had caught thousands of thieves. Among those thieves, there were quite a few who were skilled in picking locks. She had seen the thief's demonstration. Although his lock-picking skills were not as good as theirs, it was still okay. A lock from the 21st century was much more complicated than an ancient lock. If she could open it, she would be able to do so. In the evening, another maidservant brought her food and prepared to feed her. Zhao Yun'er then said, "This younger sister, I don't have an appetite for the time being. I can't eat. Can you put the food down first and wait until I'm hungry to eat?" The young maidservant was simple-minded and didn't think too much. She just asked worriedly, "How are you going to eat if I don't feed you?" It's fine. Just leave me a few steamed buns. I can eat them myself." The young maidservant hesitated for a moment before saying, "All right then. I'll throw you 3 steamed buns and 1 steamed bun. I'll take the rest first." Zhao Yina nodded. "Okay. Thank you, little sister. You're welcome." The young maidservant tidied up and gave her a bowl filled with steamed buns. After the young maidservant locked the door and walked away, Zhao Yin'er's eyes suddenly became serious. Chapter 1480. In this woodshed, there were too few things that she could use. If she wanted to untie the rope on her body, she could only find something blunt. The only thing she could think of was to smash the bowl and use the mouth of the bowl to slowly cut the rope on her body. Zhao Yin'er picked up the smashed bowl and chopsticks and slowly cut the rope. This rope was very thick, and it was a bit laborious to cut it, but it could not be rushed. Zhao Yin'er slowly cut the rope. In the end, it took nearly an hour. Her wrist was a little sore from the cutting, but she finally cut the rope on her body. Then he hurriedly untied the ropes on his feet. With freedom, Zhao Yin'er went to the door and looked through the crack of the door. At this time, the sky was a little dark, but there was no one guarding outside the door. They probably thought that she was a woman, tied up and locked, and did not have the ability to run out. It was good that there was no guard. Otherwise she would not have the chance to run out. Fortunately, the hairpin on her head was still there. Zhao Yin'er took off the hairpin on her head and fiddled with it. After a while, she saw the lock on the door open. Zhao Yin'er hurriedly ran out. When she saw people, she quickly avoided them. However, what made Zhao Yin'er despair was that she did not know where she was. After running for a long time, she did not find the exit at all. In the end, she actually got lost. If she could not get out, she would be waiting to be caught. She had been away for too long, and she would definitely be discovered. She did not know if she was discovered escaping, but many servant girls and other guards in the residence were out looking for her in the courtyard. Zhao Yin'er had no choice but to hide in a courtyard. This courtyard was very remote and full of weeds. It was estimated that everyone lived here. If she hid here, it would be very safe. Just as Zhao Yin'er entered the courtyard, she heard a few light footsteps coming towards her. Zhao Yin'er hurriedly hid in the haystack and was almost discovered. A few maidservants came to the front of the courtyard and stopped to listen. They only heard the maidservants discussing, "Are we really going to this courtyard to take a look? Then what should we do? Master asked us to search the entire residence. We have to search every corner carefully. We must find him. But I don't think it's necessary. I don't dare to enter. I don't dare to go in either. I heard it's haunted. Yes, sometimes when I pass by, I can still hear the screams inside. I also heard that when someone passed by, they saw a ferocious-looking monster. It's very scary. I wonder if it's a ghost." After the discussion, the maidservants became more and more afraid. The ancient people were most afraid of things like ghosts and monsters. They didn't dare to provoke ghosts and monsters. Well, shouldn't we go inside to look for them? What if Master blames us? Let's not talk about it. We'll just say that we've already searched the place, and no one knows. Right. We've already said that we'll look for them. This place looks so gloomy. It's too scary. I don't want to have nightmares when I go back. Well, then let's not go inside. I don't dare to go in anyway. After several maidservants discussed for a while, they finally decided not to go to the courtyard to see, but let Zhao Yin'er escape a calamity. Chapter 1481. Otherwise, if she was discovered by these people and brought back, she would not be able to escape. If she was caught again, there would definitely be people watching her. Sometimes it was like this. There was only one chance, so she must not miss it. After waiting for these servant girls to walk far away, Zhao Yin'er came out from the bushes. It was summer and it was very hot. There were many mosquitoes in the bushes. If she continued to stay in there, she reckoned that she would be bitten by these mosquitoes and have a bunch of blisters on her body. Zhao Yin'er looked at the courtyard again. The grass and trees in the courtyard were messy. It was different from other courtyards. At a glance, it was obvious that no one took care of it. That was why it was like this. Could it be that what these servant girls said was true? Because there was a ghost in the house, It was abandoned? A gust of wind blew. Zhao Yun'er felt her whole body shiver. She did not know why, but there was a sudden chill in her body. It was a kind of chilling feeling. Zhao Yun'er was stunned for a moment. Her heart began to fear. Could there really be ghosts in this courtyard? If it was in the 21st century, Zhao Yun'er did not believe in ghosts and gods. Now that she had transmigrated, there were many things that science could not explain. Perhaps ghosts and gods also existed in this world. It was just that because of atheism, many people did not believe in ghosts and gods. Zhao Yun'er's mind was tense. Now that there were so many people in the residence looking for her, once she went out, she would definitely be caught. It seemed that she had to hide and avoid. This haunted courtyard seemed to be the safest place for now. Tonight, she could only make do here. When the people in the residence stopped looking for her, she would see if there was a chance to escape. In this courtyard, there were many weeds and trees. There was also a dilapidated house. At this time, the night was not very dark. Because of the bright moon hanging in the sky, the scene in the courtyard was illuminated. It was not a problem to sleep outside at night. With so many mosquitoes, she would definitely be bitten to death. Zhao Yun'er wanted to make do with the dilapidated house for a night. The insects inside would definitely be better than outside. Thinking of this, Zhao Yun'er quietly went to the dilapidated house. Looking inside, it was dark and she did not see anything. After overcoming the trace of fear in her heart, Zhao Yun'er pushed open the door and went in. What surprised Zhao Yun'er was that it was obviously an abandoned house. After entering, she found that the furniture inside was complete, and it was clean as if someone had cleaned it. The most important thing was that there was a very fresh smell. This didn't look like an abandoned house. It was obvious that someone was living here. What was going on? Zhao Yun'er frowned in thought, but she couldn't think of a reason. Could it be that ghosts had requirements for where they lived? And it must be clean and tidy? She did not have time to think so much. Zhao Yun'er groped her way to the bed. Since this place was not bad, it was even better. She could stay a little more comfortably tonight. Zhao Yun'er lay down on the bed. It was soft and very comfortable. Zhao Yun'er just closed her eyes and was about to sleep. Suddenly, she felt someone nudging her. Zhao Yun'er was scared and immediately straightened her body. She met a pair of pitch-black pupils. When she saw the person's face, Zhao Yun'er was so scared that she screamed. Chapter 1482. Thinking of what those servant maids said, Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but scream. Ghost! Hearing Zhao Yun'er's cry, this person was obviously a little displeased. The cold man's voice reached Zhao Yun'er's ears. If you're not afraid that the people outside will hear you and take you away, you can continue to shout. After being warned by this man, Zhao Yun'er immediately calmed down. She really shouldn't have made any noise, especially with so many people in the courtyard. If she shouted, it would be very easy for others to hear her. Ghosts shouldn't be able to speak, right? Or rather, they wouldn't talk to her like this. The person in front of her should be someone whose face was disfigured. Since he was human, there was nothing to be afraid of. Zhao Yun'er quickly calmed down. The man's words just now clearly didn't mean to hand him over. Otherwise, he wouldn't have reminded her. Zhao Yun'er sized up the man in front of her. Why did such a person appear out of nowhere? Seeing that Zhao Yun'er was looking at him without the slightest bit of fear, and that she was unusually calm, which was very different from the average person, the man also developed some curiosity and interest toward Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er looked at the man for a while, then asked weakly, "May I ask, who are you and why are you here?" The man snorted and said, "I should be the one asking you this question. Who are you? Why did you come back to me? Why are the people outside tracking you?" Being sized up by the man's sharp eyes, Zhao Yun'er trembled, thinking about what to say. Would this man sell her out? Her current situation was really a little difficult. The man saw that Zhao Yun'er's eyes kept rolling, but she didn't say anything. The corner of his mouth hooked up. "Why aren't you saying anything? Are you afraid?" Zhao Yun'er thought for a moment, then shook her head and said, "Afraid? What am I afraid of? Actually, I'm not a person. I'm just an ordinary farmer's wife. Who knew that I would be kidnapped here when I was doing well at home? I don't even know where this is. I can't stay here any longer. What if they want to do something to me? That's why I ran away. Unfortunately, this courtyard is too big, and I don't know the way, so I couldn't run out at all. Later, I was discovered to have slipped away, and many people were sent to find me. I had no choice but to hide here. When the man heard this, he was silent for a moment, thinking about the truth of Zhao Yun'er's words. Zhao Yun'er added, I heard that this place is haunted. Those servants are very afraid, so they don't dare to come here. It's very safe here. I accidentally trespassed on your turf, but I still hope that you won't hold it against me. Take me in, and I'll find a chance to sneak out tomorrow. The man stared at Zhao Yun'er and smiled. With his disfigured face, he looked even more sinister and scary. The man's cold voice rang out. You said you're an ordinary peasant woman. I don't believe it. Woman, you don't look simple at all. The man said this because he didn't believe what Zhao Yun'er said. In the man's eyes, peasant women were women who didn't know much. Zhao Yun'er handled things calmly, and when facing him, she spoke in an orderly manner. It was obvious that ordinary women couldn't do that. Zhao Yun'er wasn't a simple character. How could she be an ordinary peasant woman? Chapter 1483. Believe you? We don't know each other. And I don't even know who you are. Why should I believe you? The man looked at Zhao Yun'er from head to toe, as if he wanted to see through Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er was a little speechless. Since you already believe that I'm lying, you won't believe me no matter what I say. It's useless for me to explain further. The man fell silent for a while. She didn't know what he was thinking. Hey, I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying to you. Look, I'm dressed like a peasant woman. The man chuckled. Clothes are nothing. Do you think you're someone just because you're dressed like that? Hearing the man's question, Zhao Yun'er only felt tired in her heart. Was she so special that the man didn't believe that she was just a peasant woman? Zhao Yun'er was worried that the man would hand her over if he doubted her identity. If that happened, she would have to be locked up again. Zhao Yun'er rubbed her forehead and sighed. What kind of person do you think I am? Tell me about it. I don't know, but I don't think it's simple. Otherwise, everyone in the manor wouldn't have spent so much effort to find you, right? Well, it seemed to be true. The man had a reason to doubt her. If she was really just an ordinary peasant woman, he wouldn't have spent so much effort to kidnap her. Although she didn't know the man's purpose, facing the man, Zhao Yun'er sighed. I'm indeed an ordinary peasant woman, but my husband isn't an ordinary man. I was kidnapped this time to threaten my husband. Although I don't know who you are, I don't think you're a bad person. The man seemed to be amused. It was the first time that he heard someone say that he wasn't a bad person. How do you know that I'm not a bad person? Why do you trust me so much? Well, it's just my intuition. I just feel that you're not a bad person. If you were a bad person, shouldn't you have sold me out long ago? Oh, you think too much. I just think you're interesting, so I want to watch the fun. I have no intention of helping you. Besides, I've never been a good person. Now that you're with me, you may face danger at any time. Maybe I'm in a bad mood, so I don't think you're interesting, so I handed you over. Zhao Yun'er's heart couldn't help trembling. She felt that this man was a little strange. However, it was strange that a disfigured person living in such a dilapidated house. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er did not speak, the man teased. Why are you afraid? Are you scared by me? If this man really sold her out, wouldn't she have to accept her fate? The worst-case scenario was that she would be arrested again. She just didn't know what Mu Lianfeng would be threatened to do. There was an unfathomable look in the man's eyes. If you're not afraid, you can stay here. I'll give you this bed. She didn't know why the man suddenly changed the topic. Zhao Yun'er hurriedly said, If you give me the bed, what will you do? That's my business. Well, I'm leaving now. Wait. Zhao Yun'er stopped the man again. Chapter 1484. Zhao Yun'er's face suddenly turned red. This man, what nonsense is he talking about? She glared at the man angrily and said, You're thinking too much. You haven't told me where this is. I need to know who kidnapped me, right? The man thought for a moment and told Zhao Yun'er. This is the residence of the Minister of War. Zhao Yin'er said. Oh. She did not urge the man to stay, lest he think too much again. After the man left, Zhao Yin'er continued to lie on the bed. She was exhausted from the 2 days of bumps and bumps. She did not lie on the bed and get a good night's sleep. Now that she had a big, soft bed to lie on, she felt blessed. Zhao Yin'er thought about it. The man who was disfigured actually had some kindness in his heart. At least he did not betray her. His words were sharp. Most importantly, he gave her such a big and soft bed. Zhao Yin'er felt that she was too easy to bribe. She immediately felt that he was a good person, just because he gave her a bed. Zhao Yin'er, who was lying on the bed, did not fall asleep immediately. Instead, she pondered. If this was the residence of the Minister of War, then the Minister of War would have kidnapped her. Zhao Yin'er had never paid attention to the affairs of the imperial court. Hence, she did not know who the Minister of War was. Nor did she know the relationship between the Minister of War and Mu Lianfeng. The more she thought about it, the more tired Zhao Yin'er felt. She did not know if Mu Lianfeng could find her. What was Dao doing? Was he taking care of Tian? There were too many things that she was worried about after she left. She wanted to live a peaceful life in the countryside, but reality did not allow it. What else could she do? She only hoped that she would not implicate Mu Lianfeng. She hoped that she would be able to escape and live a peaceful life when she returned home. Unknowingly, Zhao Yin'er fell asleep. When he woke up, it was already the next morning. On the other hand, Mu Lianfeng had already arrived at the capital city. In the capital, they had already sent people to look for Zhao Yin'er, but they couldn't find her. At this moment, they were very anxious. Every second he wasted, Zhao Yin'er would be in more danger. Therefore, Mu Lianfeng could only find Zhao Yin'er as soon as possible. Mu Lianfeng immediately went to his cousin's residence, Morong Manor. His aunt's family had some influence in the capital. His uncle's title was even higher than his family's. Because of his high position, he had quite a bit of prestige in the capital. The news of Mu Lianfeng's arrival quickly reached Morong Shuang's ears. Morong Shuang had been heartbroken these days because her marriage had been annulled by the emperor. Not being able to be with Mu Lianfeng was the most painful thing for her. Because of this, she had been extremely depressed these days and had lost a lot of weight. Now, when Morong Shuang heard that Mu Lianfeng had come, and had even taken the initiative to look for her, she was extremely excited. After all, this cousin of hers had never taken the initiative to look for her. Could it be that his cousin had changed his mind and was willing to marry her? Morong Shuang was very excited at the thought of this. She quickly called out to the servant girls who served her in the room and said, "Quickly come and help me freshen up. I want to see my cousin later." Because she had been very depressed these days, Morong Shuang did not care about her appearance and was very casual. Chapter 1485. If she didn't dress up beautifully in front of Mu Lianfeng, how would she be able to attract Mu Lianfeng? The servant girl hurriedly responded and went forward to dress Morong Shuang up. First, she picked out a brighter piece of clothing from the wardrobe, which would make her look more youthful and lively. After Morong Shuang changed her clothes, the maidservant could not help but say, "My lady, you've lost a lot of weight these days. Look at the clothes you're wearing, they're a lot bigger." The servant girl's tone revealed a little heartache. Because the emperor had cancelled the betrothal, Morong Shuang basically didn't eat or drink much, which caused her to suddenly weigh 10 pounds. The clothes that were originally fitting suddenly became a lot bigger. Morong Shuang took a look. The clothes were a little too big, but in this short period of time, there was no way to make clothes. So she said, "That's it. I'll just wear it for a while. Hurry up and tidy up my hair and face." "Yes, miss." The servant girl stepped forward and hurriedly combed Morong Shuang's hair into a bun. Then, she picked out some pretty jewelry and dressed Morong Shuang up well. "Miss, do you think this looks okay?" The servant girl asked Morong Shuang after she was done. Morong Shuang looked at herself in the mirror. She was a little thinner. She was a little less skinny because of the rouge on her face, so her complexion looked pretty good. Most importantly, her face was already good-looking. After a little dressing up, she was extraordinarily beautiful. Morong Shuang's eyes revealed a trace of satisfaction. At this moment, she was in a very good mood because Mu Lianfeng was here. She would be able to see the man she loved in a while. This kind of joy was on her face at the same time. Morong Shuang replied to the servant girl. It's done, it's done. That's it. My cousin must be waiting anxiously. I have to hurry over. The servant girl nodded. Miss, young Master Biao is in our manor's imperial garden. Morong Shuang responded and happily walked towards her own garden. She didn't bring the servant girl with her, as she knew that the servant girl would be a hindrance. No one wanted a third wheel by their side. Mu Lianfeng stood in the back garden of the Morong Manor, waiting quietly. His face was a little heavy, and he was worried about Zhao Yin'er's safety. If his cousin really did something to hurt Zhao Yin'er, he wouldn't let her go easily just because she was his cousin. Cousin. Morong Shuang saw a man in a white brocade robe standing by the pond. His tall and straight back looked very charming, so she called out in a joyful voice. She then quickened her steps and walked to Mu Lianfeng. She thought Morong Shuang's cousin, Morong Shuang. Of course, of the Morong Shuangs. What disappointed Morong Shuang was that when Mu Lianfeng turned around, he had a cold expression on his face. There seemed to be some displeasure on his face. Morong Shuang's heart suddenly sank, and she called out weakly, Cousin. Morong Shuang was about to ask why her cousin came to see her, when she heard Mu Lianfeng's questioning voice. Cousin, is Yun'er with you? Did you take her away? Morong Shuang was stunned. She looked at Mu Lianfeng in confusion and said, Cousin, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand? Chapter 1486. Morong Shuang opened her mouth. Faced with Mu Lianfeng's puzzling words, she didn't know where to start. Looking at Mu Lianfeng's expression, Morong Shuang knew that Mu Lianfeng was really angry, and it was a very serious kind. Cousin, Guning said. Cousin, do you want me to make it clearer? We are relatives. I don't want our relationship to be too stiff, but you can't challenge my bottom line. Cousin. Morong Shuang suddenly felt very wronged. What on earth had she done? Why didn't she know it herself? Her heart, which was originally full of joy, was suddenly poured with a basin of cold water. It was extremely cold. I really don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know what you're accusing me of. However, I can clearly say that I didn't do anything. If there's anything, please don't accuse me of it. Morong Shuang took a deep breath and said in a slightly sad tone. Mu Lianfeng's sharp eyes fell on Morong Shuang, as if he was sizing her up. Morong Shuang felt even more upset when Mu Lianfeng doubted her. She said to Mu Lianfeng, Cousin, are you doing this for that woman? Did something happen to that woman? Is that why you think I did it? Don't you think it's too much for you to hurt me like this for a woman? Mu Lianfeng's expression changed slightly when he saw Morong Shuang crying sadly. After all, she was his family, so he couldn't bear to see her like this. But when he thought of Zhao Yin'er, Mu Lianfeng knew that he had to be cold-hearted to this cousin of his. Otherwise, according to Morong Shuang's character, she would only do something more serious to Zhao Yin'er. Cousin, there is a limit to my tolerance. I know that Yin'er is with you. If you hand over Yin'er now, I can let it go. If you don't hand her over, I will find out that it was you who kidnapped Yin'er in the future. Then, don't blame me for not being merciful to you. Morong Shuang only felt that it was ridiculous. She stood in front of Mu Lianfeng and said with a smile, but there was sadness in her smile. Cousin, so that B*TCH was kidnapped. But I'm sorry to disappoint you. She's not with me. You should be glad that she's not with me. If she was with me, I would kill her with my own hands. At this moment, Morong Shuang's hatred for Zhao Yin'er had reached the extreme. It was all because of this woman Zhao Yin'er. If it wasn't for Zhao Yin'er, her cousin wouldn't care about any other woman. When faced with Imperial Consort Hua's marriage, he might have obeyed Imperial Consort Hua and be with her. Because of a woman like Zhao Yin'er, it hurt the affection that they had built up as cousins for so many years. It was really not worth it. Obviously, in Mu Lianfeng's heart, Zhao Yin'er's position was much more important than hers. For the sake of AB*TH, Mu Lianfeng had shed all pretense of cordiality and said such hurtful words to her. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't heartbroken. As for Zhao Yin'er, Morong Shuang had the heart to kill her at this moment. After hearing Morong Shuang's words, Mu Lianfeng's eyes were suddenly stained with blood. Chapter 1487. Morong Shuang was frightened by Mu Lianfeng's horrifying side, and for a moment, she did not continue to speak. Her hatred for Zhao Yin'er did not diminish, and she blamed Mu Lianfeng's change in attitude towards her on Zhao Yin'er. Cousin, I'll ask you one last time, is Yin'er with you? Morong Shuang bit her lower lip. Cousin, if I said she wasn't, would you believe me? Aren't you certain that something happened to that B*TCH, and that it was me who did it? Unfortunately, I didn't do anything to her this time. If you don't believe me, I can't do anything about it. Mu Lianfeng observed Morong Shuang's expression. He knew his cousin very well. If she lied, her eyes would avoid looking at other people's matters. This was the guilt after lying. This time, Morong Shuang's eyes were very open, and she was not lying. Mu Lianfeng's brows furrowed even deeper. If it wasn't his cousin who took away Zhao Yin'er, then who could it be? Where was his Yin'er now? And was she still safe and sound? Mu Lianfeng felt anxious and uncomfortable when he thought that Zhao Yin'er might be in danger. Since it wasn't you, then forget it, Mu Lianfeng said in a low voice, and prepared to leave. Morong Shuang was a little unwilling to let it go. Cousin, you came all the way here to find me, and you just left when you couldn't find her? Are you so heartless to me? Tell me, what's so good about that B*TCH? I really want to know. How did a little peasant woman in the countryside charm you so? Mu Lianfeng said coldly. You've asked me your question before, and I've explained it to you. Cousin, in this life, we're only destined to be brother and sister, and we can't be husband and wife. So you'd better give up on this idea, or you'll be the one who'll be sad. After saying that, Mu Lianfeng did not want to be entangled and stay here for too long. He put down his sleeve and turned to leave. Looking at Mu Lianfeng's back, a line of clear tears flowed down Morong Shuang's cheeks, and she couldn't help but sob. Cousin, you're so cruel, so cruel. He treated her like this for a country bumpkin. Although she was sad, after crying, Morong Shuang's eyes suddenly became fierce. According to Mu Lianfeng's words, Zhao Yin'er was captured and taken away by someone. Mu Lianfeng suspected her. That was why he came to find her here and interrogate her. Morong Shuang thought about it. Zhao Yin'er, this woman, could not be left alive. She must die. She wanted to torture this woman to death with her own hands. Morong Shuang gathered the guards in the house. These people were all trained by the Morong family, and each of them was very capable. Then, she ordered these people to go to the capital to find Zhao Yin'er's whereabouts, and strive to take Zhao Yin'er away before Mu Lianfeng. On the other side, Zhao Yin'er woke up and looked at the situation in the house. It was broad daylight, so she could see more clearly. Although the outside of the house looked very dilapidated, the inside was tidied up quite well, with an antique feeling. The fragrance she asked about before should be the fragrance of sandalwood burning in the incense burner. Living in such a house was indeed much more comfortable than living in a small dilapidated house in the countryside. However, Zhao Yin'er was still a little puzzled. Why did the disfigured man live in such a place? What was his identity? Was he a member of the Minister of War's mansion? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.